Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss, the two premier adult animated series taking place in a hell of Vivzy Pop's making. Hazbin Hotel is a narrative-focused dramedy musical about redeeming the souls of the wicked, and Helluva Boss is a raunchy screwball dark comedy about a misadventurous crew of assassins screwing up and screwing each other. Well, I can't pick one, and now each show is 2 seasons whole. It's time for growth. Let's review them both. Take total control. Timestamps in the description, in case you just want to skip right to a certain season. Why now, you ask? Oh, you know me, always fashionably late to the party, as usual. Been saving my hottest takes and opinions till now, which I'm sure you've all been wondering.
Not really. But welcome back in any case.
I've talked about both Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel on this channel each once before, back when HB had only 7 episodes and Hazbin was just its pilot. In case you didn't catch those videos, here they are really fast. What do you think of Helluva Boss? I think it's a little hit and miss. Some episodes are great with great comedy, good action, incredible animation, and others are kind of overwritten, way too much extremely detailed dialogue, and great the tone in some scenes. I can't get over the ending of Truth Seekers. The last scene was they catch by the FBI so they prove that demons exist, which already like hello, the pilot anymore, and then it was scared about the audience saying, haha, this is the point people, let's not go and leave. But then, immediately after, the 2 agents get up and all like, oh sweet, we have to mountain evidence of demons. And I'm like, what the hell, really? None of you saw there might be cameras in this government facility, and James might deal with that? Why'd you even let them live? You or anyone of the others could have killed them easily. The bank company was crazy. Why was it you were just getting up and you got 15 seconds earlier than being this error? That's cheap, and it's the last thing she makes calls like a huge idiot.
Quiet, Litzy. Good night, my little beauty.
A lot has changed in the years since, and will probably change even more in the years to come, as both series are still in production, but I believe a critical re-examination is warranted regardless, so I'll try not to do any predicting and focus on what we have. This is my comprehensive review of the 4 seasons worth of television spread across these 2 hellish cartoons. They're fucked! Even though its pilot came after, HB actually began releasing episodes before Hazbin, so let's go over Helluva Boss first. After the success and popularity of the pilot, Hazbin Hotel was eventually picked up by Amazon Prime and aired on their streaming service, Prime Video, in early 2024. Helluva Boss, by all accounts, is a YouTube web series given the green thumb by Vivzy Pop herself in 2020 and was funded by the success of their merchandise, YouTube ad revenue, and Patreon. Cartoon Hangover's bravest warriors infamously struggled to produce free TV-quality cartoon episodes for an internet audience funded solely by merch and AdSense. But Helluva Boss proved that the business model could work, and it would be adopted by contemporaries like Glitch Productions, which is how we got Gooseworks' The Amazing Digital Circus. You parasite! The YouTube model doesn't follow the standard animation pipeline, where every episode is worked on simultaneously and then released weekly. The episodes came out one at a time whenever they were ready across several years, and will be posted to the Vivzy Pop YouTube channel. As the show grew in popularity and merch sales became more profitable, the episodes were able to be allocated bigger and bigger budgets to hire more and more people for work on each installment. So, as the series progresses, the production value noticeably skyrockets from episode to episode. For example, in the 5th episode, the Harvest Moon Festival, there are shots that are noticeably lacking in between frames. That's why the animation looks choppy, likely a budgetary or time limitation. Compare this to Season 2, where the standards for production quality are far higher, more consistent, and wildly ambitious. The episodes also notably increased in length as the show became more successful. Merch, fan art, fan fiction, theory videos, harsh critique, cosplay, it was a big deal. Before all of this hit the center stage, animator and creative head Vivian Madrano was known for her vividly realized and expressively bouncy characters, and most of Hazbin's cast have been sitting on the shelf for like half a decade before the show came to be. I noticed a lot of both Hazbin and Helluva Boss's DNA trace their roots back to Viv's early work, like Zootopia, Timber, and Die Young. It's no coincidence that the 2 main characters outside of HB's main trio are Wolf Lady and an Owl. In hindsight, it's kind of wild how much build-up there was for the release of Hazbin's pilot, with clips and trailers and sneak peeks building it up as the next big thing, only for Helluva Boss to come in almost out of nowhere and steal the spotlight for the next 4 years. To think that this is the B series. What does the B stand for, you wonder? Well, allow me to elucidate with a short anecdote. In all my years of reviewing media, I've only encountered 2 beings who seem completely and utterly unstoppable with no hope of defeat. The first is Yujiro Hanma, the father of Grappler Baki, a man so inhumanly strong that he cannot be subdued even by armed force, and entire countries bend the knee to him. He met Baki's mother by breaking into her house, killing her new husband, and taking her for himself just to prove that there was nothing anyone could do about it. Never before have I yelled so loudly, this man needs to be stopped! He is a demon, a menace to society, and he scares me. He's almost as dangerous as the other guy, Brandon Rogers, co-creator of Helluva Boss.
I just remembered I can hit.
Viv is just one half of the pie. B-Boy Brandon has his own YouTube channel where he makes edgy, raunchy sketch comedy videos with the energy of a horny stegosaurus on Purge Night. No one can leash this man, and it is that whirlwind of madness that fills Helluva Boss's lungs.
Are you gonna crush my musical theater dreams like my dad did?
Sir,
Because right now, all I see is just my dad's asshole talking to me, crushing my dreams of being who I truly am inside.
So who are these characters? The lead is the titular boss, Blitz. The O is silent. He changed it after leaving the circus and becoming an assassin so people would take him more seriously, but it backfired, and now everyone from his past who hates him uses it as a way to get on his nerves.
Blitzo. Blitzo?
Blitzo, Blitzo.
Ruben? Blitzo! Blitzo.
I just lost pronoun privileges.
As the big cheese of their assassin business, IMP, the show is centered around how great or terrible Blitz is as a leader and co-worker, hence the title. He's rude, loud, rude in the other way, and voiced by Brandon Rogers using his normal speaking voice. I know this might be a turnoff for some, but I have a soft spot for asshole characters, because they're the ones who are able to say what everyone else is afraid they can't get away with. That's to say, they're not pussies. Speaking of which, Moxie is the wimpy stickler nerd of the group, played by legacy voice actor Richard Stephen Horvitz, celebrated for his work on The Angry Beavers. Moxie plays the straight man to the other's antics, and a share of the comedy is at his expense for being too good for this hell. But he's a keen marksman, a softie for the musical arts, and loves his wife, Millie. She's the bubbly, optimistic side to Moxie's reserved cowardice, and a melee expert with a southern drawl. She's basically the only one on the crew who can keep up with Blitz in both energy and enthusiasm. Luna is a hellhound, and not a werewolf, as the name suggests, and also Blitz's adopted young adult goth daughter. They take her along on hits in some episodes, but otherwise she hangs back as the receptionist at the front desk. In Die Young, the focus character stood out for being very animated and upbeat. Luna is very mellow and stilled, a contrast with the liveliness of the other characters.
Shut up, dear furry!
And then there's Stolas. Stolas is cool because he's an owl, and owls are cool. He's also a member of the Demon Royal family and has, let's say, a deep infatuation with Blitz. Using Stolas' grimoire, the imps are able to, illegally, cross over to Earth from Hell to assassinate humans at the request of sinners. And Stolas lets Blitz use the book in exchange for...
passionate fornication.
what he says. Stolas functions like the producer or sponsor of the business, thus it can't operate without his support. Yet for someone who's not on the main crew, Stolas gets so much screen time that he's practically the deuteragonist. That's, the secondary protagonist, in case you don't know, like Zoro is to Luffy or Robin is to Batman. The redeeming of Stolas from blue-blooded sex pest to the tragic lovesick prince would become the conceit of Helluva Boss's story arc. The pilot gets the series off to a weird start. There isn't any plot, and it's just the imps and Luna hanging out in their office building like an episode of Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell, or any other gag about demons doing something boring. The runtime is filled by cutaway gags, and doesn't match the rest of the show's humor, which comes from the situation and witty banter. I still find the gags funny regardless, though the crew decided to can this pilot in favor of a new one called Mission Zero, which I don't really like. After Season 2 came to a close, Amazon MGM took Helluva Boss under its wing to join Hazbin Hotel on Prime Video, bringing all of the YouTube episodes onto the service uncensored, as well as redubbing all of the non-English language options, which kinda sucks. They did use the opportunity to fix some of the more notable flaws in the animation, which is a plus. They also screwed up some things too, and other flaws were just left in. Pros and cons. Anyway, Mission Zero is better at establishing the show's rules and world, specifically the imps as a race of lower-class citizens in Hell, which is why Blizz's relationship with Stolas is a big deal. The character dynamics, animation, and voice cast are now consistent with the rest of the show, but it's just not as funny as the original pilot was. No! Oh god, it's cringe! They made it cringe! The opposite of comedy. Why did they try to fix it?
Lily, this is the workplace.
So? Are you trying to crush his dreams, Moxie?
What?
I thought I knew you.
I can't believe you, Moxie, after I made you Employee of the Month.
The first real episode, Murder Family, is a better start to the series. It has crazy rednecks and references the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it establishes the dynamic between Stolas and the imps just fine. Wait a damn second, did Stolas just call Blitz on Earth from Hell? That's some impressive coverage if the service spans across realms. So, Stolas, he's pretty funny. The main gag with him is that he raucously flirts with Blitz and talks so spicy that it's censored for comedic effect. Haha, oh Stolas, he sure is silly with how much he wants the sex. In episode 2, we meet his daughter. Oh, so Blitz isn't just offering Stolas sex in exchange for his support, he's also a homewrecker. Stolas' wife hates him for cheating on her, and his child, Octavia, is miserable every day listening to them argue. This is the backdrop for one of the best episodes of the show, Lululand.
Lululand?
Lululand!
A short section and a Q&A video just doesn't do it justice. This episode demands going into detail, trust me. It opens in the past, when Stolas' family was more stable, and he's woken up in the middle of the night to console the young Octavia with a song. Stolas sings that Via has nothing to worry about because she will be okay no matter what happens. Stolas could disappear one day, hell could collapse in on itself, the universe could implode! Or you could just roll an 8, and Octavia would still be okay. He's essentially saying that there is nothing that could possibly happen in the entirety of existence that would ruin their relationship. Smash cut to the present and everything is terrible. Octavia is older and has grown weary. The innocent girl who missed her dad is gone. She doesn't even sleep in her childhood bedroom anymore to illustrate how much things have changed. This episode came out in December of 2020, 9 months into the infamous pandemic that kicked off this decade. For reference, I had just turned 19 at this time and was starting college online. It was an era when many kids, teenagers, and graduates alike from across the world were stuck at home with their families in quarantine. Octavia's emo attitude became instantly relatable because, at the time, it felt like our world was burning down around us. Via gets out of bed to make herself breakfast, meanwhile ignoring her parents loudly arguing in the same room. With our parents stuck at home too, witnessing their uglier sides like this was, unfortunately, all too common in households around the globe. Octavia doesn't have school or a job, no siblings and no friends. She has nothing to do but hang around the house and trying to ignore it all, because trying to make awkward small talk with her folks whom she has nothing in common with is exhausting.
What's that you're listening to?
This song is called My World is Burning Down Around Me. It's by Fuck You, Dad. It's a band.
Oh, how charming.
So are you two done screaming for the day?
The mood set by this opener is perfect. It works because it subverts our expectations. The first episode had set the show up as a wacky, dark comedy, and the second pulls the curtain back to show what these characters are up to when they aren't being silly. Octavia stands out among the cast because she isn't quirky or over the top like Stolas or Blitz. She just lives here. Ultimately, her character is easy to identify with because she's just normal. She doesn't take part in the insanity, which is why we latch onto her in this episode, like our anchor in the sea of chaos. Wanting to escape his wife's line of fire and kill 3 birds with 1 stone, oh, maybe that's an inappropriate metaphor, Stolas takes Octavia to the titular Lululand, a crappy bootleg theme park, and hires the imps as security. He frames it as being to cheer Octavia up, but really, the trip is just an excuse for him to flirt with Blitz the whole time and forget his own troubles. He calls to mind the common experience of parents dragging their kids to places they have no interest in going. Via finds this whole outing embarrassing and is either bored or cringing the entire time. She hides under her black beanie and cardigan like she just wants to disappear. In appearance, Octavia most resembles her father, but she has her mother's eyes, because Stolas is the one she's closest to, but her glare cuts him just as sharply as his wife's does. All the black in her design, plus the messy hair, serves to give her that emo teenager look, but she still wears a version of that same star-spangled pink dress that she wore as a kid, showing that underneath all the angst, she's still the same little girl that Stolas always knew and loved. He brought her here because sometimes it's hard for parents to recognize that their kids have grown up.
I'm not 5 anymore.
The tarot cards really were stacked to make this the most relatable episode ever, for parents, for teenagers, everyone. Partway through, the group arrives at a carnival tent to watch creepy animatronics designed by Gooseworks. At the center is the robotic Fizzarolli, voiced by Alex Brightman, famous for playing Beetlejuice on Broadway, and he uses a similar voice here. We learn later that the real Fizzarolli was actually Blitz's childhood friend, and he used to work at Lululand with his robotic doppelganger, so the episode just became personal for Blitz, too. The story is strong because it focuses on the characters over the situation. One of the final shots even literally puts the conflict in the background to emphasize Stolas and Octavia instead. Because Blitz fighting RoboFizz is cool and all, but it's not what we're here for. While the world is burning down around their fight, Octavia runs off, fed up with everything, and Stolas chases her to a funhouse attraction. Instead of the ride breaking down, Octavia breaks down. At this point, she probably wishes she had just stayed in her room that morning and not gone to the kitchen to get food. With Blitz being too occupied, Stolas now has nothing left to distract him from his daughter's woes anymore.
I take it you are not having fun.
I didn't even want to come here.
I'm sorry, sweetie. I thought you loved it here.
You see, the bad guy of this episode isn't a creepy clown or greedy kidnappers, it's Stolas. After cheating on his wife, he thought he could just immerse himself in a fantasy and pretend everything was fine, and is forced to confront how his actions affect the people around him, especially his only child. Octavia acts indifferent and tries to hide away because she feels alone. Stolas obviously pays more attention to Blitz than he does to her during this trip, and the house is no longer a welcoming environment. Sucks outside, sucks inside. When she listens to her parents fight, she just wants to be anywhere else. It's no longer a place that brings her security, where she could call out to her parents in the middle of the night and reasonably expect to receive their compassion.
I just want to go home. But home doesn't even feel like home anymore. You ruined it.
When she was a kid, being left all by herself was the one thing Via feared most, even more so than RoboFizz, an anxiety she has held on to up until the present moment. Mirroring the opening, Stolas reassures her that he will never leave her. Never. And for the beautiful final touch, as he takes her out of the attraction, a kidnapper comes after them and Stolas turns them to stone! Revealing that he never needed bodyguards in the first place, that he doesn't need Blitz. And so since Lululand was his misguided idea, he then asks Octavia what she wants to do.
Oh, can we go to Stylish Coles? They sell weird taxidermy there.
Okay.
Thanks, Dad. You're okay sometimes.
Thank you, Via. Thank you.
This episode is fantastic. It establishes early in the show's life that it doesn't just want to be a goofy comedy, and it can tell deeply personal stories. And all the drama aside, it can still manage to be quite funny. I like when Blitz plays the cool boss by letting Eminem slack off and peruse the attractions. This leads to, in my opinion, a defining character moment for Moxie as he tries to win a rigged carnival game that he aces every time, but still loses. Isn't that just the character in a nutshell? Moxie does everything right, and he plays by the rules, but is never rewarded for it. And that's played for comedy.
Another!
Also, that thing looks an awful lot like a certain smiling someone. But perhaps I am imagining it. Am I boring you with my analysis?
Perhaps.
Well, look, I'll just get to the point. I once said that Lululand was almost perfect. So, do I still believe it's the best episode of the show? Well, all I'll say is that it has a challenger now. The other most notable episode from Season 1 is CHERUB, which is the funniest episode of the series. The imps are hired to kill an old rich inventor named Lyle Lipton by his former partner, but they butt heads with the titular cherubs who are hired to save his life. They're a direct foil to the main trio. You have the sheepish doormat for Moxie, the spunky lady for Millie, and the boss baby for Blitz. The plot is essentially that trope of the angel and devil on your shoulders brought to its comedic extreme. The angels try to convince the old man that his life is worth living, meanwhile the imps encourage him to kill himself. The episode prior established that Blitz and company should be wearing disguises while on Earth as not to rouse suspicion, so each set piece gives them an excuse to wear funny outfits, be them elves, women, or furries. The climax has the cherubs take Lyle to the opera house, where the crew is in their normal attire, which is fitting because Blitz's design always kind of reminded me of the Phantom of the Opera anyway. He would be a good Phantom. He's got that iconic half-white face and that Roger-shaped head. After ruining the show, the cherubs have finally had enough of the imps meddling, and they have a big bloody battle scored by operatic singing, somehow, even though the opera singer died. Lyle is deeply moved by this performance.
It's all starting to make sense now. Life is worth living because we only get one. We must cherish it. If creatures far beyond this living world are going through these lengths over my life, then certainly it's worth living.
That's a nice message and all, but this is the one show where it doesn't actually apply, because in this universe, you do get more than one life. Hazbin Hotel's entire premise is giving second chances to human souls who blew their shot on Earth. Kinda undercuts the moral about valuing life when, you know, you can just make up for it later. Though not an action series, Helluva Boss has a stellar rogues gallery of villains and recurring antagonists. Verosika Mayday is a succubus and Blitz's ex-girlfriend who holds a grudge against the guy after he ran off, leaving someone else to pay for the
hotel room, steal their car, and run 3 rings to Rat and max my credit cards on shitty horse riding lessons.
God damn it, whore, you will not let that go.
Stryker is a fellow hitman like Blitz who holds a venomous disdain for upper-class demons and rides a flaming hellsteed. He also gets a kick out of completely emasculating Moxie every chance he gets. I previously went into detail about why I don't like Secret Agents 1 and 2 from Truth Seekers. They aren't very funny and come off as trying too hard, in my opinion. I still think Stolas was an idiot for letting them live when the other agents received no such mercy. They're better in Season 2, where they team up with the Cherubs to fit the little guys with government technology to fight IMP on their home turf. Both the Cherubs and the agents not only want to destroy the imps, but want to be the heroes for doing so. Then there's Moxie's mob boss father, Crimson. No last name, no seriously. The other villains tend to be quite silly, except for this guy, who's cold, cruel, and doesn't have any funny quirks to him. All of the comedic relief instead went to Chaz Thurman. Oh yeah, rest in peace. Rolando is a demon haunting a hotel who fights by exploiting people's insecurities and fears, and he makes me wish there were more episodes where the target was also the antagonist. Right now, his only real competition is Martha from the first episode. The arc villain of Season 2 is Andrelphus, Stolas' weaselly ice mage brother-in-law who won't shut up about how attractive his sister Stella is. Dude, keep it to yourself. Then there's Mammon, the embodiment of the deadly sin of greed, hilariously voiced by Michael Cusack of Smiling Friends fame.
Ah, you're a bloody legend, Pizzy! They're gonna wanna fuck you! Like you're fucking my heart with joy right now!
These villains are fantastic, and all stand out as unique in both look and sound, attributed to a range of strong vocal talent like Christina V and John Waters. The art style and animation of both shows are uncannily adept at depicting evil, with moody lighting and ghoulish facial expression. Being for older audiences, the show isn't afraid of getting dark either, and thus is able to portray villains that are utterly brutal and sinister. It serves as a constant reminder that the underworld has no shortage of scum and villainy.
Don't let her access any of your holes!
The world of Helluva Boss is generally a pretty cynical one. Obviously, it's hell, so it's not a very nice place, but it gets kind of confused whenever the subject of ethics comes up. Like, the laws of hell can't get you for murder, but you can still be sued for copyright infringement. Imps can be punished for unlawful conduct with prison or death, but sinners can apparently do whatever the hell they want. Earth is shown to be quite dysfunctional too, usually for comedy, which is clearly an Invader Zim homage, where the humans were all absurdly dumb and oblivious to explain why they never noticed the aliens. In this world, trillionaires already exist, implying that the wealth gap in the population has progressed to a rather sorry state. Moxie calls 911 on the redneck family, and the police get straight to blowing up their house instead of arresting them. When the gang hops off the bus to go and kill Lyle Lipton, the tourists don't even seem to care. And when they end up in Los Angeles... Oh, wait, no, never mind. That's just normal LA. Moving on. I'm just saying, it's the same logic as Zim to explain why humanity never gets wise to the presence of demons. So why is it suddenly a big deal in Truth Seekers and later again in Mastermind? With a setting like Hell, you'd expect the morals to be inverted in some way, like in Aw Real Monsters or the Addams Family, where sweet and nice is disgusting and creepy and vile is beautiful. They attempt something like that in the Season 1 finale, Ozzy's, which tries to delineate whether demons should bond out of lust or out of love. Moxie takes Millie out to the House of Osmodeus for their anniversary, run by Ozzy, the embodiment of the deadly sin of lust, and the real Fizzarolli. Because of reasons, Blitz follows them to the club, but he needs a date to get in, so he calls Stolas, who interprets Blitz's selfish request as a romantic gesture. Up until this point, Stolas has only ever been shown as lustful towards Blitz, flirting with him, coercing him into sex. He is all about that carnal desire, you see. This episode marks a major turning point as Stolas' libido starts to wane and he develops romantic feelings for Blitz instead. If I were to restructure the first season, I think it might have made more sense in hindsight if Lululand were the episode before this one instead of the very second episode. Following everything with Octavia, Stolas should have been hyper-aware of the unintended consequences of his sexual exchanges with Blitz, and it would have made sense for his attitude to shift right after. But then in the Harvest Moon Festival and Truth Seekers, he still acts exactly as saucy as he did in the very first episode, like all of that didn't happen. Helluva Boss starts off wanting to be a light episodic cartoon like the classics of the 2000s, and episodes 2 through 6 can feasibly be seen in any order. It isn't until Season 2 that each episode is built to lead into the next one, and from its 6th episode onward, the show is basically fully serialized. This is called Cerebus Syndrome, where a lighthearted story gradually bends toward becoming more serious. You may have seen it before in cartoons like Adventure Time and Steven Universe. Suffice to say, sometimes it works out, and sometimes it doesn't. Ozzy's is the first example where the show really starts to give a shit about its continuity. It brings Fizzy into the fray, of course, but it also brings back Veronica and it references Lululand burning down, but most of all, it marks the start of Stolas really being pushed to the forefront. Anyway, Fizz welcomes Moxie to the stage as the opening act, and he sings a corny love song for Millie, but he's cut off halfway through by Big Man Asmodeus because his music was about romantic love instead of carnal lust. Okay, excuse me, the club allowed him to go on stage. without pre-checking what his act was beforehand? This isn't an open mic night. How could they not know he was going to sing a love song? Ozzy, you can't intervene if you just don't like the vibe. You're supposed to finish a piece of media before you say it sucks. That is the internet reviewer's way. It could have worked if it was a heckler or another performer crashing his routine, but from the owner of the club, this display comes off as astonishingly petty. Anyway, Ozzy tries to demonstrate the inverted morality of hell by saying displays of love are nothing, and that true connection is formed through the act of sex. Blitz's sexual relationship with Veronica was one-sided, that's why they broke up. This neatly parallels his current relationship with Stolas, which is also one-sided, and implies their demon dalliance is doomed to dissolve. But not because Blitz doesn't reciprocate Stolas' sexual desires, rather because he doesn't share his new romantic feelings. Moxie challenges Ozzy's stance and proves that true love is cool and awesome after all, which makes Blitz rethink his life choices.
You know what? This was a mistake. All right, let's just leave.
Oh, right. Of course.
Blitz is jealous of Moxie and Millie's relationship. Maybe that's why he followed them tonight, because deep down, he wants to be part of something that pure. Ironically, he doesn't see Stolas as being able to offer that to him, says their relationship is built on lust and nothing more, and they part ways for the night. As confusing as that one bit with Ozzy was, this was a pretty solid way to close Season 1. It was interesting, and it took the characters in new directions, with both Blitz and Stolas showing their vulnerable sides. I don't know what it was exactly, but Stolas' sheer excitement at being asked out put this really stupid grin on my face. It was a little adorable. And the reincorporation of Fizzaroli is smart. In Lululand, you assume he's just some generic jester demon, but find out here that he's really an imp, like Blitz, and his jester head is actually disguising his horns. And a strange tidbit about Ozzy's is that every episode in the first season was co-written by Viv and Brandon Rogers, except this one, which Vivian did solo.
Anyone who knows Brandon, and fun fact about Brandon, and hopefully he won't kill me for giving this away, he doesn't really draft. And you probably know this too because you've worked with him. He doesn't really draft an episode of television or a skit or whatever. He kind of writes a rough thing, but a lot of it's on the day. Like, a lot of it's like,
why don't you just wing it?
I love it!
And that's how he works, and it's great. But when you're doing animation, you need a screenplay. Like, you need something that when you go into the booth, you're recording with the actors. My original thinking before knowing him, was this guy's gonna write the show, and then I'll produce it, I'll animate it, whatever. Because again, I didn't think I was a good writer. I got the vibe pretty quickly that there was no world that this guy's gonna sit there and draft an episode of television for me.
We figured out, I'm like, where are we shooting today? Maybe a church or maybe the bank, I don't know.
Exactly. So I gleaned it. I don't think we ever outright had that conversation, but I gleaned it pretty fast that I was like, okay, yeah, if this is gonna be written down in a structured screenplay way, it's gonna be me. But I thank him because it forced me to write a pilot and write a screenplay, like a script, and I just really fell in love with it. That's why there's certain episodes like Ozzy's is like my episode. Like I was like, I'm gonna write this. Like I'm ready.
Ozzy's leaves you wanting to see more and is an effective season finale. Oh wait, shit, right, I forgot. That wasn't actually the Season 1 finale. You see, after Ozzy's, there's a bonus episode called Queen Bee, which was planned to release right after. But due to legal challenges and the episode being especially complex to animate, it was delayed, and bizarrely came out when the show was 4 episodes deep into Season 2. Maybe because of all this development hell, when it came to bring the episode to the editing room, they completely forgot to put the mature audiences warning at the start. And this is the only episode where it isn't there, so I guess go ahead and show this to your kids. While Blitz spent the night at Ozzy's, Luna... wait, hold on. Apparently, it gets weirder. The content warning actually evolves as the series progresses. In the first 3 episodes, the warning has slightly different text, then Cherub reuses the text from the first episode. Then, starting with the Harvest Moon Festival, the message is consistent for the rest of the show. And from Truth Seekers onward, the warning has sound, when it was completely silent in the prior episodes. And for some reason, the one before Ozzy's is slowed down to half speed, which looks really weird after you notice it. Starting in Season 2, they have a brand new shiny warning with a new pentagram animation, which is used consistently in every episode going forward. Now here's the crazy part. When porting the show to Amazon, they actually went out of their way to replace the old content warning with the new one from Season 2 in Ozzy's and only Ozzy's, and it's also half speed. How? Why? Who's the rogue editor that went in and changed it without actually fixing it? That's weird, guys. That's really, really quite weird. And what's this? In Cherub on Amazon Prime, the warning isn't using the text from episode 1 anymore, it's using the one from episode 2? Huh? Let me get this straight. They intentionally changed it to one of the antiquated warnings and not the polished one from season 2? What is going on? Am I losing my damn mind? If updating the content warnings from season 1 was on their to-do list, then why did they change 2 of them without making them better and then ignore the rest? Guys, this isn't hard. It's very, very simple editing utilizing canned animations. I could do this. I mean, it's not like the Prime version needs them anyway, since the streaming service has content disclaimers built in. Okay, I have no idea why the content warnings were that interesting. Let's move on. While Blitz spent the night at Ozzy's, Luna was attending a party for Hellhounds hosted by Queen Beelzebub, the embodiment of the deadly sin of gluttony.
Oh, what's that I see? It's a bumblebee.
The episode serves as one big tribute to Die Young, even going so far as landing Kesha to guest star as B. Kesha even co-wrote and sang a brand new song specifically for the episode called Cotton Candy, which was the cause of the legal delay. They had to get Kesha's label involved to use the song, but they were in the middle of a lawsuit, and ultimately the song's vocals were redone with an impersonator instead. As someone who really enjoyed Die Young back in the day, I absolutely love the homage, regardless of the hoops they had to jump through to get it. Unlike the sister episode's Deadly Sin, B is generally pretty chill, and this is one of Luna's better appearances. Blitz makes his way to the party halfway through and gets wasted to cope with getting humiliated at Ozzy's. Luna makes some new friends, she takes her drunk adopted dad back home, Blitz festers on whether or not he'll die alone, and now we've completed season 1. We'll be back with the second season after these messages. Enjoying yourself so far? Well, we've barely gotten started. I implore you to look over here and take a gander at my Patreon! Hoo-ha! If you want to support the show, throw me $1 to become a patron or YouTube member and gain access to exclusive videos. Come on, you want longer form content to be tenable, do you not? Trust me with your membership. I don't like the circus, the season 2 opener. This was the pivotal moment that the show decided it wanted Stolas to be the hero. It opens with Stolas as a boy, excited to be bestowed with his grimoire by his father, Jafar.
Oh, that's an ugly noise, son. Here, how about you cease this bitch crying?
Stolas is upset about being put in an arranged marriage with Stella, so his dad takes him to the circus to put an adhesive strip on the issue, calling back to Lululand. Young Stolas becomes infatuated with the performing Blitzo, back when the O wasn't silent, and Jonathan Freeman makes a deal with Jonathan Freeman to arrange a playdate between the two. This episode puts in a lot of legwork to retcon aspects of the first season to make Stolas more likable. The first is that Stolas and Blitzo had met as kids, and Owlboy was gaily crushing on him even back then, even though his romantic feelings didn't actually emerge until the season 1 finale. Young Stolas is trying very hard to look precious, but honestly, he was cuter in Aussies. Blitzo's pops makes him steal as much treasure from the Goetia palace as he can, and for their deeds of grand larceny, Blitzo and Stolas face no consequences. Blitzo made this big deal about being afraid of getting caught, and that sort of went nowhere. This playdate mainly serves to explain how present Blitz knew about the grimoire and what it could do. Cut to 25 years later, Stolas has his child and is unhappy with his marriage. In the Harvest Moon Festival, Stryker was sent to assassinate Stolas, and it was revealed at the end that Stella was the one who put the hit on him as revenge for his infidelity. That was fine. His betrayal of their marriage was a believable motivation for her being so pissed at him, and it's hell, so it's exaggerated for comedy. But this episode shoves in the story detail that Stella actually hated Stolas the entire time, and she gleefully mocks him to his face, behind his back, and within earshot. You see, what they're trying to do is make Stolas look like the good guy by asserting that he was in the right to cheat on his wife because she's a massive cockatiel. And they never loved each other. Except remember Lululand?
When I was a kid and my parents didn't hate each other.
Arrgh! You see, they already implied that this wasn't the case and that most of the friction came from Stolas' unfaithfulness, which he's currently being absolved of. Before this episode, their only interaction, pre-adultery, was one grumpy, half-awake reply, which is nothing. If Stella never liked Stolas to begin with, then why was she so offended at him cheating on her like their relationship had any personal value? What, just because it was a lower-class simp? in their freaking bed? You really gotta stretch your suspension of disbelief to make this work. It doesn't feel like a plot reveal, it feels like a forced retroactive change to have Stolas look good by making Stella as unlikable as possible. What the hell? How did they ruin a character that I didn't even care about? Oh, and guess what? Stolas didn't come onto Blitz at first. No. Blitz came onto him to steal the grimoire. It wasn't Stolas' fault, guys. He's a good boy. He didn't do nothing. He was just teasing until that little imp decided to take it further and awaken something in the foolish prince. I guess it's a little cosmically ironic that after all of Blitz's complaining about Stolas, we find out that he made his own bed, so to speak. But I think it's a little too late to shift Stolas from a licentious prince who made mistakes to a misunderstood romantic who was actually in the right all along. Back in the present, Stolas stews in sadness alone, and he takes antidepressants without water. Poor Stolas, skulking around his massive palace in comfort and security. His life is so hard.
I like tormenting you. I want to keep reminding you of what you did.
I know what I did. I would feel bad if I hurt you, but we both know I didn't do that.
Well, your actions hurt Octavia at least. Surely you feel bad about that. Stolas' marriage already had a one-way ticket to Divorce Town, and the train has finally reached the station, so Stolas has Stella pack her shit and leave. This season opener, yeah, it kinda sucks. It paves the way for the rest of the season by cementing over what came before, and it's not even subtle. The divorce plot thread leads into the next episode, because in terms of fully standalone episodes, season 2 has like 4. The other 2/3 are spent on the arc. So, Seeing Stars. Its whole deal is that it's trying really hard to recapture the magic that Lululand had, but just comes off as a cheap parody. This is the episode that brings Octavia back. She appeared 3 times between Lululand and now, but didn't speak. Let's cut to the chase. The episode isn't actually about her. Instead, she's used as a plot device to get the crew to life-accurate Los Angeles, or LA for short. The plot is that Stolas promised to take Octavia to the living world to see a special once-in-a-thousand-years meteor shower that day. But now that he's divorcing Stella, he's too busy to go, even though that started a week ago. Aussies Through the Circus took place on the weekend, and the current day is in the middle of the week, so how is this moving conflict a surprise? In Lululand, Octavia reached her limit and ran off after an entire day of irritation and boredom. Here, she gives up after 45 seconds of half-assed effort. Now, being awkward and struggling to get a word in is consistent with her character, but she didn't even try, man. She didn't even try. Conflict born out of misunderstanding and a lack of basic communication skills is always frustrating because it's heavily contrived, so the episode's foundation is already shaky. Octavia was relatable because she was one of the more down-to-earth characters, but now they have her sneaking into IMP and doing lame ninja moves for some reason. After they arrive in Hell A to look for Via, Moxie and Millie split off from the group to become obsessed with buying street art. This subplot is bad. Like really, really bad, and Moxie is out of character. He acts silly and pompous like Blitz would, and makes a really big deal out of really small things. It's rather obnoxious. Moxie's entire thing is being upstanding and honest and then failing anyway because the world hates him. This is him getting distracted by dumb bullshit, forgetting why he's even here, and the joke is that he's stupid and pathetic. It doesn't work when Moxie is the source of the failure. This should be happening to him, not because of him. I want Stickler Moxie back, because petty Moxie is very annoying. This is only here because they had no idea what to do with the two of them in the plot. Granted, they did the exact same thing in Lululand, just got rid of Moxie and Millie to focus on Blitz and Stolas, but there it was in character and funnier. Fuckface and Four Eyes also get sidetracked from the main quest, and Luna has to handle it on her own by stalking Octavia's socials. She eventually finds her at the Griffith Observatory, and the two goth girls have an unearned emotional moment regarding their daddy. Luna tries to deliver the message of the episode as if she learned anything while running around Hollywood. It's confusing because it was Blitz who had the war flashback and the epiphany that he would never trade away his precious Looney, a development that she is not privy to before or after this. And then Via gives us this gem.
Why does he hate her more than he loves me?
Okay, this is the worst line of dialogue in the entire show. I'm physically repulsed every time I hear it because of how much it regresses Octavia's character. They remembered her worries about Stolas leaving her behind and flanderized that into her being very needy and desperate for his affection like she's still 5 years old. Instead of breaking down because her family is falling apart, she's crying because she can't see a meteor shower. When she's holding a book that can take her literally anywhere, including a place that doesn't have smog! Wouldn't it have been better if she actually did get to see Azathoth's tears, but realized that witnessing it had no significance because she didn't get to share the moment with Stolas. Literally seeing the stars doesn't actually matter, it was the rare chance to experience them with him that would have given the event meaning. Because her character is centered around the fear of losing her father, not the fear of missing out. Octavia is crying for the wrong reason. Instead of being disappointed about cloud cover, the sheer beauty of the blind idiot god's cosmic shower should have snapped her back to her senses, like, oh man. Dad should have been here to see this with me. And she cries, realizing her parents' divorce means she might not even get a chance to see another meteor shower with Stolas. If they had gone in this direction, the ending where they watch the fireworks would have worked a lot better, because though it's no meteor shower, it's a more special moment because they're appreciating it together. Instead, it feels like an awkward compromise. I knew it. I knew something was missing. I could feel it. The shooting stars are set up, and then have no payoff. And likewise, the intended payoff of the fireworks lacks a setup because we don't have anything to compare it to. It's literally not there. I don't buy how easily Octavia forgives Stolas for forgetting about the meteor shower after she didn't get to see it. The whole episode just feels underdone. After a lineup of pointless subplots and drivel, the emotional clincher we ended up getting comes across as equally half-hearted.
He may not always get it right, but he's trying. That's more important than you think.
Oh, ain't that just such a happy display? It sickens me. Get the fuck out.
Look, I'm not crazy, right? I don't sound like Dr. Alphys ranting about why Mew Mew Kissy Cutie is perfect while Mew Mew Kissy Cutie 2 is a travesty, do I? Adam, I know you gave it your best shot, but seriously, what is this?
Well...
So far, the season is off to a rough start, but it's not all bad. A few bad apples don't spoil the bunch, you know. We get an episode where Moxie is invited back home by his father, who informs him that he is to be engaged in an arranged marriage with his ex-boyfriend, Chaz.
Whoa, he's bisexual. I didn't know that.
By the way, I'm bisexual. I forgot.
Moxie is already married to Millie and has been for over a year, so Chaz is coming in to say screw that. Blitz uses his sexual deviancy to help out for once, and Moxie admits that being without his one true love scares him more than his despicable father ever could. Good work, Adam. You nailed it this time. I'm proud of you. Good job. You did it. You did it. You really did it. It was amazing. Thank you. Good show. Oh, you're so good. Well done.
I know. I fucking rock.
Stryker comes back this season and brutally kidnaps and maims Stolas, to the shock of Blitz, who assumed he was invulnerable. I guess he forgot about when they met Stryker the first time, and he was about to assassinate the blueprints with a blessed-tipped sniper rifle. You seem to understand that he was in danger back then. Come on, Blitz. Use that oblong noggin of yours. In his first appearance, Stryker was voiced by guest star Norman Reedus of Walking Dead and Death Stranding fame. But for season 2, they couldn't get him back, so he's voiced by Edward Bosco instead, the voice of Alistair in Hazbin Hotel's pilot, who has actually worked with Viv since the very, very beginning.
Why struggle to run a business that is rigged against you, when you could partner up with me and kill the unkillable, starting with the one that treats you like a plaything?
Once I split your neck open and let you choke on your own blue blood, you won't be worth any more than the tombstone you'll be buried under.
The episode Oops brings back both Stryker and Crimson, and they capture Blitz and Fizzarolli, who have to work through their beef while they escape. The two former friends grew apart after their circus tent burned down, leaving Fizz horribly disfigured to the degree that he needs prosthetic limbs and hides his scars under his clown attire. The backstory of Blitz accidentally starting this terrible blaze is kind of weird though, because normal fire doesn't actually hurt him, so instead it has to be magical copper green fire that bleaches their skin white. What dumbass uses unsafe corruption fire to light birthday candles, and not the kind that's safe for children? That stuff should only be used to give imps tattoos. Anyway, Blitz hates himself because his mom died in the fire he caused. The two of them escape by having Fizz distract the mobsters, who all stand there like idiots and let him do his thing instead of shooting him. The rekindling of Blitz and Fizzy's friendship leads into the mid-season finale with Mammoth. Season 2 of Helluva Boss and Season 1 of Hazbin Hotel were being worked on simultaneously, and this was the last episode released before Hazbin finally airs. So, it functions as a season finale the same way Aussie's did, both being the 7th episode of their respective seasons, as well as this being the longest episode of the series so far. Mammon's magnificent musical mid-season special, featuring Fizzarolli, is a great episode, and one of the funniest.
Also, if you're a chick, maybe give up on your dreams now, because I'm not gonna lie, women just ain't funny. Anyway!
anyway! Wait a minute, this is the only episode in the entire show to have opening credits. Did they include those just so they could do that gag? In an unconventional turn, Fizzle becomes the main character for this episode, and Blitz plays the supporting role. A few years after the fire, Fizzy became Mammon's golden boy for branded merchandise, including mass-produced jester robots in his likeness like the one at Lululand, and Valentino even has one of them in Hazbin Hotel. The robots lack Fizzle-Raleigh's imp tail, and the eyes match Mammon's glowing green eyes instead of his own, representing how Fizz was remade in Mammon's image. With how valuable his brand is, Fizz puts a lot of stock into being perfect and maintaining that image which he, in Imp, feels he is lucky to even have. His decade-long winning streak is threatened by a new act aiming to become the fresh faces of greed, glitz and glam. Another reminder that this series is worth watching just to see all of the character designs. These two are so fab. The envious Geminis enter the Jester event not just to entertain the jazzed-up jokester enjoyers, but to employ a jig that jives with the easily excitable jury to earn their genial judgment.
Feeling lonely on a Saturday night. Well, money can't buy happiness, but it can make you paradise.
Sorry, Fizz, but they got my vote. The song is so good that it gives Fizzaroli a panic attack. Asmodeus steps in and cheers Fizzy up by wholesomely reminding him that he'll always love him no matter what happens, who he is, or what that fat Christmas tree thinks. No, I'm not one to rank gay representation and give out gold medals at the Gay Olympics, but both Helluva and Hazbin are totally excellent in their portrayals. Every example just feels very natural. No character is ever awkward about it, aside of the odd case where it's relevant to the plot. Anyway, Fizmodius amends their earlier position that romance is totally fake and gay compared to sex, and they have them a real gay-ass tango with all the lovey-dovey, cutesy-wootsy feelings that makes the bonds of love so beautiful.
You're gonna listen to me now, bitch!
Oh, so you two are an item. Well, congratulations, you fucking hypocrites.
Fizz learns that, in the end, he doesn't have to prove himself. And the only way to beat a game he can't win is to not play. So he channels the primordial gamer and quits before he can lose. The song he sings, creatively titled Fuck You, as an homage to the iconic emo band Fuck You Dad, is one long diss track aimed at Mammon. For some reason, Ozzy tells Big M that it's about him right at the start, so then why is Mammon clapping along with it later and having a jolly old time when he knows it's insulting him? They should have just cut Ozzy's line there, because it doesn't make sense with the rest of the scene. Soon after, Mammon's short-term memory loss wears off and he gets fussy at Fizz for flirting with fleeing the funhouse. You'd think Mammon, a deadly sin, would own his soul under contract or something, but I guess not, and a free Fizzy flies home fulfilled, safe in the arms of his sugar daddy.
So, who tops?
Mammon's mid-season etc. is spectacular. It's big, it's funny, it's cute. The amount of unique background characters is staggering. Comparing Season 1 to Season 2 hardly even feels sensible because it's simply a wholly different unholy beast. In terms of production quality, a Helluva Boss only increases from episode to episode. But of course, writing quality is the one thing merch sales can't buy. Regardless of how successful the show becomes, it's always the same few people laying the groundwork. Before Hazbin Hotel stole my attention, this episode, Lululand and Cherub were the ones that I rewatched the most. But it's not my favorite installment from Season 2. That honor actually goes to an earlier venture called Unhappy Campers.
Really, sir?
No, not really. You're a fucking disgrace.
Unhappy Campers makes me unhappy. Remember in Seeing Stars when Moxie acted uncharacteristically obnoxious? Well, I'm afraid that Petty Moxie is back and it's god-awful. Here's the fatal flaw. The plot is that the client wants revenge on his killer but doesn't actually know who it is. So Moxie and Millie have to infiltrate a summer camp to solve whodunit. And then Millie figures out who it was immediately. What? They just threw out the entire plot for a gag? Arr, irony strikes again. So Moxie's plan was to go in undercover to gather information and interrogate suspects, and he is so determined to do this stupid detective shtick that he is willing to completely ignore all of the evidence that just fell into their laps. Which should be really funny, except that it's not funny. It's annoying. And the episode isn't doing this to subvert your expectations. That guy is the culprit. In a nutshell, they figured out who did it before stepping 1 foot into camp, and the rest of the episode is spent procrastinating. It gets worse. M&M decided to stick to the script and go incognito as fellow campers. Moxie disguised as a girl and Millie disguised as a boy. And the only good thing I'll say is that Millie totally rocks that large t-shirt and beanie. This is a terrible plan, by the way. Summer camps do head counts of all the campers, whom the camp counselors are in charge of. They would notice if 2 creepy strangers snuck onto camp. They're also not wearing camp uniforms like everyone else, which should have given them away. Moxie starts the investigation by making an ass out of himself, introducing himself, to his fellow kids.
13-year-olds are the meanest people in the world. 8th graders will make fun of you, but in an accurate way. Hey, look at that high-waisted man. He got feminine hips. And I'm like, no, that's the thing I'm sensitive about.
This approach doesn't make any sense. Their client specifically told them that the culprit had to be one of the camp counselors due to their access to camp tools and them knowing the victim couldn't swim.
It had to be them.
So why then is Moxie trying to cozy up with people that can already be ruled out and not one of the suspects? Why is he pretending that they're starting at 0? Even if Millie didn't already catch the guy in the act, there's only like 5 counselors at this camp, so they could narrow it down really fast anyway. Or, you know, kill them all, who cares? Their client was very clear and made this very easy for them, but they're still screwing it up.
I'm Maxine. I'm the prettiest girl at my school. And all the boys...
God, I don't even want to watch this. Moxie, the voice of reason, a bit of a wimp, but does his job quickly, quietly, and by the book. Yeah, in this episode, he's completely out of character, acts frustratingly, and puts his pride above the mission the way Blitz would. He's not out of character, he's just playing up his theater kid persona. Okay, then he's flanderized. That isn't better. Since they've decided to hit Moxie with the idiot stick, instead Millie has to play the straight man to him. As a side effect of his donkey brain strategy, Moxie is shunned while Millie thrives and becomes the most popular dude at camp.
Don't forget what we're here to do, Millie.
No, Moxie. After completely disregarding all of the valuable intel that Millie gave you earlier, you do not get to lecture her about staying on task. That is what we with access to a dictionary call hypocrisy.
If you want, we can go off the guy right now. I think he's alone in the cabin.
No! I have to do this right.
What the hell are you on, Mox? Interrogating the lead suspect isn't the right way to do things? Come on, dude. You think Blitz will care if you wing it? You think the client will even know if you got the wrong guy? You're not proving anything to anyone.
Why don't you try winning them over with something you're good at, like I did?
I have a better idea. Millie is already popular. Since she has the camp's trust, why doesn't she do the investigation? Why does it have to be Moxie besides to feed his ego? No, I know why. It's because Millie already solved it, so that would be pointless. This is honestly so dumb that I feel dumb for explaining what's wrong with it. The entire episode is just Moxie and Millie dicking around and then arguing because they're dicking around too much. This is what contrivance looks like. They started with the idea of Moxie embarrassing himself by getting too deep into the role of a teenage girl at camp, and the entire world is twisting itself into a knot to make sure that happens. It would be somewhat okay if it was in service of actually finding the culprit, but it isn't. So it's unnatural and poorly justified. Thus, it feels phony, we lose our suspension of disbelief, and we get distracted. Now think back to Oops, that episode's plot also depended on contrivance, with Blitz, Fizz, Striker, and Crimson all coincidentally being in the same place at the same time. Without contrivance, you don't have a plot, but so long as we can believe that the events are happening for tenable reasons, then our investment remains intact, it all feels real, and the contrivance isn't noticeable. Otherwise... It's cringe! Oh no, they made it cringe again! What are they doing?
This is fucked up. I hate this.
At the start of the episode, Moxie said the company really needed the income from its latest client, so why is he wasting the whole business week, Monday through Friday, on this one very simple hit? 5 entire days of valuable time they could have been spending taking other jobs right down the tubes. Time is money, and this is not business efficient, especially because 5 minutes was all they needed. Imagine their clients sitting around wondering why this is taking so long. Or what about the other sinners looking to hire IMP, only to find that their office is mysteriously closed all week? Cash flow my ass. So Millard's popularity source is such a height that she's arranged to perform on stage that Friday night. Wait, July 17th on a Friday? But that means the current year is 2020 or 2026. Oh, weird.
That's the year that's this year.
Maxine is jealous and upset about this because we need a cliche third act breakup that lasts for a harrowing 1 minute.
You could have finished that job anytime if you had just listened to me. But you wanted to do things your way.
Did y'all hear that? Because what I heard was, what I'm doing is wrong, I know it's wrong, but I'm gonna do it anyway. After the second time calling back to the Achilles heel of the episode, you'd think they would have realized this plot is paper thin and paints both of these characters in an unflattering light. Well, at least siblings Millard and Maxine make up later by exposing themselves before a crowd of minors. In the climax, Moxie finally goes after the obvious culprit, but he was so absurdly incompetent that Blitz actually gets there before him. Coincidentally, his sister is the target's accomplice, and he was spending the rest of the episode tracking her down. Ironically, Blitz's subplot does the whole investigation thing way better than Moxie's does. Like, he was actually shaking people down and following leads, you know? Do you know how badly you have to screw up for Blitz to look like the sensible, smart one?
I'm sorry, sir. I compromised our objective and put us in harm's way. It won't happen again. I promise.
Apology accepted.
But if you ever pull a stunt like this again, I will fuck you and your wife.
Alrighty.
You're riddled with plot holes? Check. Characters acting like complete idiots? Check. Horror implications? Check. Darn Skippy, we got a keeper here. Real right bad episode. And you know what? That's fine. They can't all be winners, you know? But Adam, my man, what were you thinking with this one? You've got a lot of explaining to do, fella.
Give me a fucking minute, okay?
The series going forward is in an interesting spot. The last 5 episodes were all released in 2024, after Hazbin aired in January. There must have been a subconscious incentive for Helluva Boss to match the quality in both story and production value that Hazbin Hotel had, because the final few episodes are the most serialized and trend toward being rather serious. The plot of the finale arc centers around Stolas, who's starting to have second thoughts about his agreement with Blitz, wherein he allows him to use his grimoire in exchange for sex every full moon. Being that Stolas is demon royalty and Blitz a commoner imp, he must have finally noticed the lopsided power dynamic they had going on. I mean, it makes sense that he feels he's taking advantage of Blitz, who will literally be out of a job if he exits this arrangement. You know what they say, sleep with someone important to get your foot in the door. The full moon begins with an opening number that calls back to the theme of lust versus love that they established in Aussies. Stolas sings about his romantic feelings for Blitz, and Blitz raps about how stoked he is to have some sex with Stolas. Once again, it's Blitz who doesn't reciprocate the feelings of his partner. Blitz is presented with an Asmodean crystal, the kind that succubi like Verostica used to get to Earth legally. He wasn't able to get one from Ozzy earlier because Fizzlerali still hated him. His sister also had one in Unhappy Campers, but she wouldn't lend him hers because she also still hated him. The point is that now Blitz doesn't need the grimoire anymore, and his business is no longer dependent on Stolas. But Blitz has already been routinely groomed for sex for too long, and so fails to accept that Stolas could ever be anyone beyond a member of the perverted royal cast.
Te he querido durante tanto tiempo que el hecho de que no puedas creer en la pureza de mis sentimientos sinceros y que tu primer impulso sea reducirlo siempre a hablar de sexo me hizo abrir los ojos por fin.
¿Qué? ¡Púdrete, Stolas! ¿Crees que solo tus sentimientos son los que importan? ¡No me jodas, cabrón! ¡No me das ni un puto minuto para pensarlo después de todo lo que tú me has hecho pasar, pomposo ricachón de mierda!
That's a mood, Blitzy.
¡No soy uno de tus putos sirvientes! ¡No puedes desecharme como basura! ¿Ustedes creen que pueden ningunearnos, pisotearnos, maltratarnos y jugar con nuestros sentimientos porque somos pequeños e irrelevantes? ¡Pues no lo harás conmigo, perra! ¡Pelea, búho!
Blitz, yo siempre te tuve en alta estima. No creí que pensaras tan bajo de mí. Adiós, Blitz.
I actually think this outburst worked. It's a messy situation where there's no real bad guy, which is the case for a lot of breakups, I imagine. Their feelings and their expectations don't line up, hence they're not compatible, which naturally was foreshadowed in Aussies. This leads into the next episode, Apology Tour, where Blitz is forced to confront how his actions affect the people around him, Lululand style. I know it's annoying that I keep referencing that episode, but the show loves referencing it too. Stolas informs Blitz of a party happening on Halloween, run by Verostica, where all of the Blitz haters unite to share and indulge their negative opinions. Blitz hates himself, so he feels welcome. Oof, that's a lot of X's. Everyone here should really get themselves checked. In the previous episode, it's apparent that Stolas' explanation of how Blitz was free of him was carefully worded and rehearsed. But here, the two of them just kind of have a real talk about why their relationship didn't work out, benefited by a strong vocal delivery from Bryce Pinkham and Brandon Rogers.
Blitz, what are you doing here? You're lucky everyone is drunk or you would be murdered right now.
Ah, no, it's good. I'm in a disguise.
You know what part of this episode really took me off guard? The song.
I let you get too close. I let it go too far.
It's about Stolas coming to grips with Blitz not returning his feelings and poring over how it all went so wrong. It's in character that Stolas would miss the signs and red flags, as Lululand showed how he can be quite oblivious at times. He's the type to get lost in his own little world and project his feelings onto the people around him, always chasing those precious, foolish fantasies. Then there's Blitz. Just like in the holiday classic, 8 Crazy Nights, the day his mother died was the start of a downward spiral that turned him into the bitter menace to society that he is today. away. He believes himself unworthy of love after the disaster that marked him for life, so he bounces between partners and pushes them away when they get too close. He won't let his walls down or allow anyone to have any power over him because he's the boss and ruining lives is his business.
Oh, please, everyone hates me for shitty reasons. In the end, everyone's just bitter they couldn't tie this ass down.
Does anybody love you?
Stole this. My heart bleeds for you.
I mean, you're a fucking prince. How could you ever actually care for an imp? Me. How could anybody?
Just because I'm out of rehab doesn't mean I want to see you. I never want to see you, ever.
Fuck, Fizz was right. I'm gonna die alone, aren't I?
I destroy everything, everyone. I make everyone's lives worse.
I can't keep lying to myself, saying I'm gonna change. I'm poison. I come from poison. I have poison inside me, and I destroy everything I touch. That's my legacy. I have nothing to show for the life that I've lived, and I have nobody in my life who's better off for having known me.
By this point, Helluva Boss has fully completed its metamorphosis into a romantic comedy. Blitz has screwed and screwed over all of these people, yet Stolas' words of unrequited love are the first to ever get through to him, and he starts to look at the partygoers differently, with empathy instead of indifference. So Blitz decides that all of these people would be happier without him. In his depression, Blitz isolates himself and falls back into his brony phase. It happens to all of us at least once, and he spray paints his other hyperfixation all over the Impmobile.
Don't worry, guys, it's washable. My parents are gonna fucking kill me.
Yo, shit, what up? It's the
Pussy Wagon.
Ghost F***ers, aka Would You Smooch a Ghost, aka Hooray! Millie episode centers around a murder mystery in a scary-ass hotel. This episode is like the better version of Unhappy Campers, except it's actually in character because it's Blitz being an ass instead of Moxie. Also, they don't figure out who the damn killer is at the very start and then just ignore it. Hey Blitz, remember that time we met at the bar? Bojack realizes that his life has made a positive difference on someone, and Millie lives out the Helluva hater's wildest fantasy by beating the shits out of Blitz after he gets possessed. They both leave revitalized.
Yeah, fuck hotels.
Now for the 2-act season finale. Mastermind is frustrating. So they must have realized at some point that Stella was really annoying, and her voice is like listening to actual bird squeals, because they bring in Drelfison to be the arch villain instead. After discovering that Stolas had been illegally lending his grimoire to Blitz, Andre narcs on IMP. The crew does a miserable job of trying to escape the fuzz and don't attempt to conveniently flee to the human world even once. I mean, I get that the demon police probably have Earth access too, and there's no space in the runtime, but still. The gang is tried in demon court, and Blitz is brought before the judge, jury, executioner, and the embodiment of the deadly sin of wrath, Satan.
Why do we build the wall? My children, my children, why do we build the wall?
Honestly, I didn't expect him to ever show up. Blitz is in boiling hot water regarding his overdue library book, even though he already returned the grimoire to Stolas, and could have just lied now that he has legal Earth access and plausible deniability. Really, and Drelfus' accusation is all that they're going off. You know what this plot reminds me of? Hive Swap Act 2, which has a trial section in the game where the infraction is figuring out who stole a book that has already been returned to the owner. Yawn. Come on, what's the harm in borrowing a book, eh? Even though they did use it to kill a lot of people. Anyway, since that evidence by itself is flimsy, the prosecution adds the charge of Stolas' attempted assassination and summons Stryker to accuse Blitz. The gang obviously calls this out as asinine, however, hell doesn't believe in freedom of speech. The setup for this trial is awesome at least, with each of the deadly sins in attendance. They even got Michael Cusack and Kesha back to reprise their roles as Mammon and B. And of course, James Monroe Iglehart is always down to clown.
This is bullshit, guys. I've met this little imp dude before. He's a real wild card, but he's a lot of fun, and I think we should hear him out. It's probably not a big deal.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a good reason for all this.
Now shut up, you two. We all know you enjoy slumming it with the lower class plebs. Unlike the rest of us, Right, Levy?
Though the deadly sins of envy and sloth, Leviathan and Belphegor, had yet to be cast or featured in any episodes, so they simply don't speak. Also, Lucifer isn't here because he's in Hazbin. Holy ravioli, it's Vasago! Officially making his debut appearance after being teased in Hazbin Hotel's pilot 5 real-life years earlier. Finally, some star power. Because of contrivance, Stolas isn't present at the trial, since him being there would have ended the episode early. You know, whenever I think back to cases where characters should be saying something very obvious to save themselves, but just don't for some reason, this episode is what always comes to mind. Just that mental image of Blitz making the most pathetic case for his innocence ever in order to serve the plot. What a disappointment. It's even worse when Stolas arrives to save the day at the last second. He can testify that Blitz had his permission to check out the book, and he also knows that Stella is the one who called for the attempt on his life, so that's 2 charges nixed instead of 3. That just leaves the unpermitted Earth travel, which Blitz is guilty of, to be fair. But then Stolas neither attempts to clear the charges nor accuse Stella or Andrelphus. He's just like, screw it was me, I did it, I'm the origami killer, I drank the piss on purpose, and I do it again! Stolas, what are you doing? There's a better way, Gaylord! That bitch is already halfway down the street. Stolas gets Blitz off by saying that he was the hell of a boss all along, and his underlings get a pardon for their loyalty. So what the hell was Andy's plan here? Accuse Blitz and then just hope Stolas shows up and takes the blame? Kind of a risky play, you know, considering he knew the two had been broken up for a month. Drelfy, you realize your scheme to seize his nobility would have failed if he decided not to do that, right? Convenient. So, Stolas confesses to sending an assassin after himself and ordering his imp minion to steal from himself to illegally access the mortal realm for no benefit to himself. Like a cheese-chomping chump. And so he's stripped of his powers, home, duties, family status, library card, and dignity for the next century. Oops. Stella has her only good villainous moment in the series, and Blitz takes Stolas back. The disgraced celestial dragon is now living in the lower world, where everyone is mean to him, because he lost all of Hell's trust after framing himself for framing Blitz. This is where the final episode, Sinsmas, picks up, which is also a holiday episode. The imps celebrate an occasion called Sinsmas, yet are seemingly unaware of what Christmas is, even though they'd seen it before in Cherub. Whoops. The first finale closed with Blitz sinking into depression, so for this one they decided it's Stolas' turn. It's hard for him after the Force Plot boned him harder than Blitz on a good day. Despite the world practicing advanced contortionism an episode prior to bend Stolas into the tragic fallen hero before us, Sinsmas is the best episode of the season and a great finale. Yeah, I said it. It does what a lot of the season was too afraid to do and holds Stolas accountable for his mistakes and choices. You can't hide from your guilt, owl boy. Why be an owl boy when you can be a duck man?
Oh, some apples.
The circus turned everything on Stella, Apology Tour loaded some of the blame on Blitz, Octavia let him off easy in Seeing Stars, and Mastermind played up Andrelphus as the real bad guy here. But Stolas did a lot of questionable things, and he really wanted to get away with it without repercussion. And now that his luck has finally caught up to him, all he has left is to ask himself if it was all worth it in the end.
What a fucking idiot I am! This was so stupid, I cannot believe I could be this fucking stupid, I ruined everything! Move, you shitty desk! And I did it for what? These stupid, foolish fantasies! I can't stand it any longer. I don't care what they fucking do. I'm seeing Octavia!
In her best appearance since Lululand, an entire show ago, Octavia returns to remind us why Stolas' dilemma was so interesting. Her new song is another favorite of mine, being a role reversal of You Will Be Okay. That song was about how Stolas will always be there for Via whenever she needs him. After everything that's happened, Octavia rightfully calls that promise out as asinine now that he's been banned and completely left her behind. I Will Be Okay is in the style of the punk rock music that Octavia listens to, and she rebelliously declares that she doesn't need her deadbeat dad anymore. Meanwhile, she sees Blitz as a demon who successfully seduced her father and stole him away from his family. Via's home and home life fall apart like shattered celestial bodies, and her father feels as cold and far away as the stars in the sky. It rectifies why justifying Stolas' cheating didn't feel right, because even if he didn't love Stella, he did love Octavia, who understandably should feel hurt and betrayed by his reckless actions.
But my tears won't fall upon your shoulder. I'll just get older and you'll only know my name.
In the climax, Stolas tries to see Octavia at the palace, but she had already left to find him at IMP, and so they miss each other. It's a cold day in hell when Stolas picks a fight with Alfie for ruining his life, and the imps go to save him in an epic, thematic winter holiday battle. And Drelphus uses his ice magic to summon a giant frost-breathing Hydra dragon, and this is already the biggest, most awesome, large-scale action scene in the series so far. I even like it better than the operatic tussle with the cherubs and the mecha rematch in the full moon. Luna was shown to have the ability to assume full human form, and she does the inverse for the first time by assuming full hound form so the imps can dramatically ride into battle. Moxie is really good with firearms, and Millie excels at close combat, so they swap weapon styles to demonstrate just how much they've learned from being together, and Blitz becomes the knight in shining armor coming to the prince's rescue that Stolas always dreamed him to be. The whole clash is spectacular, even though there are like no stakes besides getting out alive, and defeating Drelphus doesn't actually accomplish anything. Eventually, after hanging back for some reason, Octavia steps in and dispels Andy's ice with her star magic so she and Stolas can have an overdue reunion.
You lied to me.
What?
You lied to me! You said you would never leave me! You promised!
Thea, I didn't leave you. I would never. It wasn't my choice.
It was your choice. You chose him.
Thea, no, I didn't. I had to. You don't understand.
I do understand. I understand we were never enough for you. You never loved Mother, and you don't love me. You love him.
This final talk is crushing. It's what the entire season was building up to. Instead of getting to take everything back and be let off the hook, Stolas is left out to dry. This is what true devastation looks like, friends. The kind that makes you earnestly wish that you had a time machine. Stolas begs and pleads for Octavia to give him another chance, but he can't talk his way out of this anymore. After breaking his promise that he would never leave her behind, Octavia turns her back and leaves Stolas behind for good.
You lied to me once, and you'll do it again. Have a great fucking life with him, Dad.
No, Thea, please. Please.
As the resolution to this story arc, I like it as an unhappy ending over reverting to the status quo. It makes the characters' decisions hold more weight and strengthen the impact. In fact, I even felt emotion. It works because it ties into Blitz, who has also made mistakes he can't take back, lost people he cared about, and is despised by those whom he has hurt. For the whole episode, Blitz acts uncharacteristically kind and empathetic over his usual cocky self, because he sees a little bit of him in Stolas. Maybe that's why these two connected so well, because when you finally find someone you understand, then it doesn't feel like you're in hell.
Look at you go, I just adore you. I wish that I knew what makes you think I'm so special.
It was a rocky road to get here, but the season ended on a high note. The finale is personal, it's rather funny, it's in the spirit of the holiday, the emotional beats hit, it's action-packed, every character gets a moment to shine, the motivations line up, they even got the living tombstone to chip in for the music. Now that's rad. So the question remains, do I like it better than Lululand? Well, I think maybe I do. But it's close. The song and the emotional scene with Octavia are on par with those ones, but her character has far more prominence in Lululand than it does here, being more about Stolas. Though, the episode does also show its age a bit, because the animation isn't actually the best, being so early in the series. It is not comparable to any of the Season 2 episodes. So, after much delegation, I present my amended episode ranking. If I did my job right, then there should be no surprises regarding the order. Again, I am not sorry. I won't apologize for being me, god damn it! Of course, these rankings only include the 20 main episodes and the pilots, and not any of the music videos or shorts. Oh, frick, I forgot about the shorts! Okay, so starting in 2024, the crew started releasing shorter form standalone episodes, likely to address two main issues that the series was facing at the time. You might have noticed, but there was a point when the show stopped being about the Imp's business and started being about Blitz and Stolas. It went from hell of a boss to hell of a boyfriend and became a hella novella. The shorts exist to rectify that by offering standalone tales as a reprieve from the ongoing narrative, which was getting rather heavy at the time. It's also an opportunity to let other writers besides the main three have a shot with these characters, like Sally Mae's voice actor and
Lyle!
Lyle, wake up! You gotta wake up, please!
I like the shorts as a solution to the Imps not really doing their jobs that much in the show. Out of the 20 episodes, not including the pilots, they go to Earth in around 8 of them, and only 5 or 6 actually involve killing a target. My favorite short is the one where the Imps are taken to Mexico, and Blitz is mistaken for a chupacabra. The goats are funny and derpy cute. What do you want from me? Then there's Mission Orphan Time, where Blitz is about to become the second worst thing to happen to those orphans, and Luna scares Mr. Rogers to death. No relation. One more special mention goes to Mission Wagon, backed off, where Moxie does the job solo and connects to his past as a part of the Mafia. I think it's notable because Moxie started getting way less screen time after Unhappy Campers, his previous solo venture, and his character has been slowly recovering since. I'm not going to rank the shorts because that list would get outdated way too fast. Now let's wrap this up. 4 years ago, I said that Helluva Boss was hit and miss, and astonishingly, that appraisal still holds water. Even up until the finale, there are episodes I like and ones I don't like rubbing up against each other. The ongoing narrative can be rather contrived, and as a result, a lot of plot developments feel unsatisfying or unearned. Seriously, the only reason the plot of Mastermind took place was because Stella just happened to mention Blitz stealing the Grimoire over tea on a random day. She knew about that from the very start of the series, so the imps getting arrested when they did feels like dumb luck and not something that they're in control of. You are so lucky. You are funny. Though I quibble about the story, the one thing that Helluva Boss always gets right is spectacle. The series is a dream to look at and listen to. I might even go so far to say it's one of my favorite looking cartoons, up there with Adventure Time, Ed, Edd n Eddy, and Over the Garden Wall. The characters are all super expressive, which is used to play up both the comedic and darker aspects of the show splendidly, and no two facial expressions are identical. This is excellent frame-by-frame animation using modern techniques and advantages. The setting is alive with gorgeous details, secret Easter eggs, and more background characters than you can count, every one of them benefiting from the strong art style and character design. The VFX does everything it can to really transport you to this world. Scenes will be bathed in light or shadow, the soft shading will shift as objects block the light source, and Demon's eyes always glow in the dark. In many respects, Helluva Boss is a technical achievement. Even if the writing isn't perfect, the comedy and characters are strong enough to carry an animated series. The sign of a great character is when you can put them in any situation and easily intuit what they would do, which is what we see in some of the shorts. In the end, Helluva Boss is a great cartoon with a lot to like, albeit rather flawed in some of the weaker episodes. Alright, great. That's one show done. That didn't take so long, did it? Don't change that channel. We'll be back after these messages. You know, if I had a sponsorship, this is the part of the video where it would go. So, allow me to present Scuttle by Altered Self Games. This early access build was sent to me for free by the developer after viewing my Custom Worlds video. The game is pretty rough around the edges, and some glitches and jank definitely need to be amended, but I overall enjoyed this game. It's a rhythm heaven game in the vein of Everhood, where you hit the button to the beat as you clear 3D platforming challenges. You go faster the longer you keep up your flow, and once this meter fills up, you can go totally crazy and blast your way through the crab rave. The music is very nice and chill, and I enjoyed the boardwalk levels the most. It's a fine hour-and-a-half game that you can pour more time into if you go after those high scores. Special thanks to Dylan Diamond, who sent me the Steam key for this game just in the nick of time for me to include this segment in the video. It was originally going to be a joke about how I didn't have a sponsorship. You know what they say when things just click and work out to our advantage. They say, the gnomes are with us. Yeah, it's Hazbin's turn now. After the messy mixed bag leaning on good that Helluva Boss was, the seeds of doubt had undeniably been planted leading up to the anticipated A-series. And you all know, some of you at least know, that I was a little mixed on Hazbin's pilot way back when. Well, you already know what I'm going to say, but Hazbin Hotel is a masterpiece! Oh my god! Look at the animation! Listen to the music!
Ice is nice.
Hazbin Hotel is an excellent animated series. It has plenty of flaws, and we'll get to those, but it never hits any of the lows that Helluva Boss does, and is more consistent overall. This is it, the real deal, the top shelf shish kebabs, my friends. At this point, all of my criticisms of the pilot are moot. The real show is where they gotta buckle up and bring their A game, you see. But since that old review was often just comparing the pilot to the teasers, I guess I may as well just do that again and discuss updates. All of the returning characters have been redesigned and tweaked, such as giving Husker some pants. Oh, my bad, Husk. Husker is just what Alistair calls him.
Don't worry, Husker.
I initially didn't like Charlie's redesign, which is sharper and makes her eyes red, but I warmed up to it really quick. More substantial than the character designs, though, are the new voice actors. Hazbin Hotel has an all-star cast of performers with stacked backgrounds in Broadway and musical theater. Blake Roman replaces Michael Kovac as the voice of Angel Dust due to his more impressive vocal range. I loved Kovac's performance as Angel Dust in the pilot, so I should be sad, but I think Mike's doing just fine. Husk is now played by legacy voice actor Keith David, who is not even trying trying to emulate the voice from the pilot and is instead using his classic, iconic sound that everyone loves hearing. It's also a little funny because that means Alistair, a shadow man from the Bayou of New Orleans, has Dr. Facilier on his leash.
That's an echo, gentlemen. Just a little something we have here in Louisiana. A little parlor trick, don't worry.
Stephanie Beatrice gets to be Vaggie, which is another slightly ironic casting choice since her most iconic character has more in common with Charlie, actually. Katie Killjoy is now voiced by, get this, Brandon Rogers. Yes, Blitz from Helluva Boss. So now Killjoy sounds like Blitz if he were talking over a broadcast he was watching.
And now, not feeling it.
Alex Brightman also returns from Helluva Boss to play both Adam and Sir Pentious, and he rocks as Adam, by the way. Now for characters who didn't speak in the pilot, Mimsy is voiced by Sarah Stiles Spinell from Steven Universe, and Lucifer is played by Jeremy Jordan, also known as Varian from the Tangled cartoon? James Monroe Iglehart returns to play Zestral, which is funny since this character has a similar face to Ozzy. And finally, Vox is voiced by Christian Borle, who I know best as Rockstar Shakespeare from Something Rotten, the funniest musical ever.
Wait a minute. Yes.
Though they share a hell, among other things, Helluva Boss and Hazbin Hotel have a few major differences that set them apart. The first is the character roster. Helluva Boss is primarily focused on hellborn demons, and Hazbin Hotel, meanwhile, is all about the sinners. Helluva Boss narrowed its focus to 5 major characters who get most of the screen time. The closest the show ever gets to having a 6th is Fizzarolli. Hazbin Hotel has an absolutely gigantic cast with dozens of characters spanning across different factions and alignments. This becomes a slight issue later, but for now, let's just go over everybody. Charlie Morningstar is the lead protagonist, daughter of Lucifer and founder of the titular Hazbin Hotel. Cute little antichrist, ain't she? The poetic irony of her character is that hell is the worst, most awful place to ever exist, but Charlie is the warmest, kindest soul it ever produced, the singular ray of sunshine in the pit of darkness. I said I held a soft spot for asshole characters. Well, I reserve an even softer one for characters with bottomless good cheer. Charlie's overflowing kindness and enthusiasm are absolutely infectious, enough to still make her my favorite character in the series.
Wait, so you mean your favorite character from both shows is the princess?
Charlie is a very different protagonist from Blitz. She doesn't carry the same baggage and trauma that he does. Her story is more about her ambition and dreams and what it takes to make them come true. It raises the question of what makes for a more engaging lead. Do we prefer to latch onto a hero who's deeply flawed and tragic, or someone who's very determined and likable? For Hazbin Hotel specifically, it's probably for the best for characters to not have too much baggage to unpack because the cast is so large. Vaggie is Charlie's girlfriend and the down-to-earth anchor to keep her overclocked energy in check. Since Charlie often gets distracted by the big picture, Vaggie is normally the one tasked with actually running the hotel. Then there's Angel Dust, the hotel's first guest, who fills the void of the flawed protagonist that needs to grow and learn to become better. Hell, that's why he's at the hotel in the first place. It's kind of the whole premise. Angel is a male prostitute and porn star, trapped in that job under contract, and because it's hell, the contract is also for his soul. Angel is what makes the story interesting, because in many ways he is in too deep and has been screwed in more ways than one. So, with all of the odds against him and so many things holding him back, is there still hope for him to escape this hell? The self-proclaimed host of the hotel, Alistair, aka the Radio Demon, is the trickster anti-hero of the group, sometimes helpful but ultimately only in it for himself. In hell, sinners tend to come in 2 flavors: unfortunate, tortured souls like Angel and skeevy, evil bastards like Alistair. With all the powers of hell and Tumblr on his side, he can effectively squash out most threats, and is only matched in power level by the Arsgoetia, the Deadly Sins, and the Archangels. He also has a hobby of hunting down powerful sinners and broadcasting their screams over the radio, so he's probably the reason why Hitler and other real-life villains aren't anywhere to be seen in this hell, or they reached Everhood. The lore explanation for why Penn never got abducted is because Alistair forgot. Al's minions, Husk and Nifty, are the bartender and maid of the hotel, respectively. One is a drunken gambler who is done with everyone else's shit, and the other a little chaos goblin who is at least old enough to drink. We are still not done. There's Cherry Bomb, Angel's pal who likes to cause explosions, Sir Pentious, a British inventor and engineer, Baxter, a biogeneticist and mad scientist, Rooster, easily one of the most important characters. There's the Overlords, the V's, the Congress of Heaven, extending to the Seraphim and the Exorcist, and even some outsiders not belonging to any faction like Mimsy. This cast is huge as hell, and because there are so many characters, the show occasionally struggles to juggle them all. It is for good reason that the episodes of Season 2 all have longer runtimes to compensate for the influx of characters and deeper plot. It may even be accurate to say Hazbin Hotel's first season season is 8 episodes, but the second is 9 3/5. The show is also a full-blooded musical drama with a lot of cues taken from Broadway stage plays in order to further differentiate itself from Helluva Boss. That series had songs, but they weren't the focus as much as they are here. Hazbin Hotel is as theatric as Helluva Boss is funny, and it's clear that the creators weren't content to just do the same thing again, but with different characters. Hazbin has easily one of my favorite soundtracks from any cartoon. It is seriously impressive how it can be this consistently good. The musical numbers, in my opinion, are up there with some of the greats like Steven Universe, Adventure Time, and My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I'm being completely for real. Those shows have the benefit of more episodes though, so a more apt comparison would probably be Centaur World. Sam Haft and Andrew Underberg, who did some of my favorite songs from Helluva Boss, step in as the lead composer duo for all of Hazbin Hotel. There are very few songs that I don't like. The miraculous thing about Hazbin's soundtrack is that the songs tend to grow on you as time progresses and you give them more listens. And that's not just me talking either. My brother is also a big fan of the show, and it happened to him too. I warmed up to the season 1 songs over time, and I knew that the same would happen for season 2, so that's why I let my thoughts simmer for a little while before starting this retrospective. Now, for Helluva Boss, I went through many of the episodes individually and poked at plot holes, but in the spirit of setting itself apart, I'm gonna do something a little different for Hazbin Hotel. It wouldn't be right to just skim over the songs so we can skip ahead to the plot. The musical numbers are the show, so screw it, we're doing a top 10. I'll list all of the best musical numbers and go over the story and themes whenever it's relevant. Oh shoot, should we still do the transitions, or would that be a waste of time? I suppose it'll be fine if we abridge the style a bit. I mean, we don't need that much build-up, do we?
After the battle, masterless cattle, overlords hanging by a thread. With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Hell is Forever. This is the villain song from the first episode that sets the stage for the series going forward. Hazbin Hotel's villains are designed to carry a whole season instead of standalone episodes, so there are far fewer of them than there were in Helluva Boss. The trade-off is that the ones we do have are all incredibly interesting. The main antagonist of season 1, Adam, like from the Adam and Eve story, sings this song as a clear damnation of everything that Charlie stands for. Charlie always tries to see the good in those around her and believes it possible for sinners to change for the better and save their souls. Adam, meanwhile, only sees the bad and believes if sinners are beyond saving anyway, then he and his exorcist army may as well slaughter them before they can get up to any trouble.
'Cause hell is forever, whether you like it or not. Have their chance to behave better, now they boil in the pot. 'Cause the rules are black and white, there's no use in trying to fight it. They're burning for their lives until we kill them again.
The number is scored by a strong rock sound with drums and electric guitar, because everyone knows rock stars are the enemies of hotels. The day that rock and roll became popular was the best day of Adam's afterlife. The other best day was when his favorite movie, First Man, came out. Adam and Charlie are two sides of the equilibrium. Just as darkness has a spot of light, the light in turn has a spot of darkness within it. That's Adam. This extends to Vaggie and Lute as well, who are both loyal to a fault to Charlie and Adam's beliefs, respectively. He represents the cruel, righteous judgment of the heavens and the uncaring system keeping hell down. That's why the score starts off with the brass and horns from the very first song when Charlie's giving her pitch, but is then silenced when it's Adam's turn, with the rest of the song being dominated by the guitar. Alex Brightman uses a smoother voice than the one he used for Fizzarolli, but still fills every lyric with a smug superiority and sadism that makes Adam so much fun. Also, he apparently improvised that bit with the air guitar. His performance injects the song with a lot of soul. You just know that when the head seraphim was deliberating on how to prevent hell from rising up, Adam must have walked in while eating a plate of ribs and said, "I have the perfect plan. You give me some weapons and an army of hot chicks, and we go down there, we kill some bitches. Rad plan, right?" And then Sarah probably said, "Well, this is the best idea I have ever heard. Let's do this every day."
How about once a year?
Adam looks more like a demon than some demons, and that's by design, as the whole point here is to tear down our preconceptions about all angels being holy and nice. On first watch, it was actually kind of surprising to see how much of an asshole that Adam is. The lore explanation for Adam being so rude is that he is the original dick. The whole number comes together to paint a perfect picture of this antagonist and why he makes such a great counter to Charlie. Though it's held back a little in my opinion because she keeps talking over parts of it with little comments instead of just letting Adam do his thing. And the opening 30 seconds with Charlie is okay, but I usually just skip it to get straight to Adam's part. It's a strange case where, for once, Charlie isn't my favorite thing in whatever she's in.
Can't wait a whole year to slaughter those little cunts. I know it's just been a week, but we'll be back in 6 months.
Wait, can you...
Oh, shit! With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Don't You Forget. I actually like the reprise better than the main rendition with Alistair and Rosie because Vox works better as a foil. Alistair is all the way hardcore radio, and Vox is all the way hardcore television. Hell, the voice who is heard from the shadows, and Vox, who glows so brightly as to direct all eyes to look his way. That's why the Moth is so attracted to him. The rivalry these two share is the most entertaining in the series. In both renditions, it's about Alistair and his lack of freedom. He has all this power, but always finds his fate guided by the hands of others. The reprise adds the layer of Alistair using this appearance of helplessness as an opportunity to lull Vox into a false sense of security. Vox not only thinks he's already won, but also wants to prove that Alistair means nothing to him now that he's finally been defeated. You are broken, Alistair. I, on the other hand, am used to winning.
Don't you forget, you're on my string. You can try to squirm and struggle and it wouldn't do a thing.
Most of the number is done in the same 30s-esque swing instrumentation as the original to represent Alistair, but then switches it out for an electro-modern sound in the last verse to demonstrate Vox's advancing control and power. It stops being a reprise of Don't You Forget and pulls the melody from Once We Get Up There instead, showing how Vox is redirecting his focus onto his larger ambitions as Alistair loses control of the song. The crew clearly loved Christian Borle as Vox so much that they decided to give him six songs this season. The little chuckles and growls he has to his deliveries of the lyrics sell the spiteful satisfaction he feels at having captured and humiliated his former friend turned archenemy. And Amir Talai isn't holding back in that regard either.
Don't you forget, you ain't won yet. You still need me like you did before. So cute you think I care. With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Love in a Bottle. This is my brother's favorite song. After growing fed up with everyone, Husk abandons his job at the hotel to indulge in his vices, gambling, drinking, women. It starts off as a melancholic piano tune and then upscales to a jazzy big band club song with brass and heavy drums dominating the instrumentals. As the former casino overlord, he used to rule this place, and so it gives him a form of quiet nostalgia at first. But once he starts placing bets and going bottoms up, he becomes just another gambler lost in the loud hall of poor devils. It shows how sinners can fall back into old habits when life gets rough. Getting these people to improve is a challenge because their sin is comfortable, and putting in the work to be better means leaving your comfort zone. The lyrics are filled with a lot of really clever wordplay with how much alcohol is related to happiness. Also, Keith David.
I'm leaving behind all of the cares that I've been overthinking. Find friends in my wine, stay unaware just as long as I'm drinking.
The number comments on casinos and how they take advantage of their patrons' vulnerability for profit. The ladies singing the chorus are always right behind Husk and egging him on to keep playing, make risky bets, and push his luck. They are the ones who initially deliver the title lyric, Love in a Bottle, not Husk. It is only in the second chorus and afterwards that the lucky cat actually joins in to sing this catchy mantra now that they've gotten to him, convinced him to forget his friends because all the personal value he needs is at the end of a drink.
If you've got a problem, you're not going to find the solution at the bottom of the bottle. I should know, I've been looking there a long time.
Alcohol dulls your senses. It makes you less sharp and more suggestible. It's the staff's job to keep you distracted and entertained, which extends to the musical number at large. This section, with the neon lights, is so transfixing that I never even noticed till now those pictures in the background depicting Husk in his prime. Hell is romanticized in these series and made to look rather glamorous, but this is one of the rare wake-up calls to how heinous and predatory the realm can be. Has-beens who wind up in hell are enabled by their new environment to continue engaging in the very things that landed them there forever. Love in a Bottle is a stellar showcase of how a human soul can fall so far from grace that they fully turn into a demon.
Love in a bottle, love in a bottle. Can't have love when it comes in a bottle. Home in a bottle, numb in a bottle. I don't need nothing that's not from a bottle. Another round.
With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Gravity. This one spotlights Adam's second in command, Lute, who has grown bitter and unbalanced after the events of Season 1. The tone is dark, way more bleak than The Devil May Care Hell is Forever, with a way more menacing alternative rock sound and church choirs as backup. It's so tense that I wouldn't be surprised if Lute went and murdered someone after- well, I suppose that makes sense, because the song is literally about her desire to kill. She embraces the spirit of the rock star and trashes Adam's office in her rage and despair. This is the most Fall Out Boy core song in the entire soundtrack. And there's Fall Out Boy!
Hey, will you trade with me? No.
Storms coming, I can see the clouds. No
This musical number gives you that feeling of, oh no, what have we unleashed? There are upsides to winning, but sometimes it can have some consequences, and taking out the big villain may just enable a worse evil to take its place. Adam was passionate about the exterminations because he found them entertaining, but Lute viciously pines to wipe out all of demonkind out of malice to undo everything Charlie has built.
Are they winners? Are they sinners? 'Cause it's cut and dry. Fair is fair, and eye for an eye. You won't be a dead. Look at me, I'm gonna get my hands wet.
She wants to make Vaggie regret sparing her in the season 1 finale and show everyone that ruthlessness is mercy upon ourselves. The song is called Gravity to call to mind the heavy rain that came down for 40 days and 40 nights in the story of Noah's Ark, where a flood suffocated the land for humanity's sins against God. Targeted revenge isn't enough. Only with complete annihilation will she be at peace. A fruitless crusade, however, for after she gets what she wants, she'll only want more. To her, the extermination is no longer about quelling uprising to maintain the safety of heaven, but to satisfy her own thirst for blood. So much power is put into the lyrics and the music to make this number as intimidating and foreboding as can be. Even though Lute didn't really live up to it this season, because they're saving her for a future story arc. Whoops. Hey now, that just gives us more time to get aboard the Hazbin boat before the wave of devastation sweeps across hell.
With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Stayed gone. This is what Vox was getting revenge for in number 9. After being MIA for 7 years, Alistair comes back into the public eye, and Vox takes preemptive measures to ensure his power isn't threatened by Al's return. This musical number is excellent at building Vox up, and then tearing him right back down. At the start, he enters his television master control room very dramatically in a slow build-up like a mastermind behind the scenes. And the pan up to him on the news broadcast gives you the impression, oh, Katie Killjoy was just a small fry. This guy is the big fish.
So the radio demon is back in town. Why is he hanging around? What does that mean for your family? Well, Handley, I've got good news. He's a loser, a fossil, and I don't mean to sound hostile, but the demon is a coward!
Vox talks so fast with a rapid fire of rhymes and wordplay to boast his confidence before anxiety takes over. And then Alistair comes in and gives Vox an ego check by turning his hot single into a rap battle. But like an old-timey one with big band jazz and a piano straight from a saloon. And now, Vox looks completely pathetic instead of in control, his attention being pulled away from his viewers and placed squarely onto his nemesis.
Every day he's got a new format.
You're looking at the future. He's the shit that comes before that.
A lot of care was put into Alistair's voice. They didn't just slap a radio filter on him and call it a day. No, it's carefully modified so he has the timbre and crunch of an old radio speaker, but none of the crappy garbage noise that comes with it. So it sounds old, but smooth and pleasant to listen to. They go together like music and radio.
Let's begin. I'm gonna make you wish that I'd stayed gone.
Stayed Gone is a standout for how well it establishes the feud between the two entertainment stars, especially Alistair as a level-headed head messer-upper. This is just what happens when charisma meets cunning and one knocks the other out of the running.
Oh, this will be fun. With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Sarah's Confession. One of the new characters they introduced in the second season that absolutely floored me was the Speaker of God. Stepping back a bit, death is scary, scarier if you think you're going to hell. But the Speaker, the highest authority of heaven, is so gentle and forgiving that it makes the passage feel a lot less frightening. Her character addresses the question of how do you make a soul feel safe and welcome so soon after they perish. It's surprisingly touching. The character is played completely straight, and I like that they didn't feel the need to put an edgy spin on her, since they already have Adam and Lute for that. The musical number brings all of this into focus as the head seraphim laments permitting the exterminations and seeks the wisdom and quarter of the Speaker. The song shifts through so many moods as they go back and forth. The orchestra is somber for Sarah's part to demonstrate her guilt and regret, but then the strings soar and glow in a heavenly ballad when it's the Speaker's turn, the entire hall being filled by the might of her angelic voice.
Every transgression must serve as a lesson. Yesterday you drew sorrow. What will you do to
As as Sarah becomes lost in the consequences resultant from her actions, the song becomes tense and dramatic from the pounding of the drums of war. As an authority figure who is complicit in the genocide of a targeted race of demons, Sarah was one of the more detestable characters in Season 1, at least for me. This musical number tries to show that she wants to change and truly adhere to the morals she is meant to be upholding, and does it better than Live to Live, since that was more about Serpentius. If the head seraphim of heaven, who is not at risk of punishment for her misdeeds or misguided assumptions, can reflect on her actions, see the error of her ways, and try to be better anyway, then doesn't that just give you hope that anyone who appears beyond redemption might just come around too?
Do you think I could be redeemed?
I believe anyone can be redeemed.
It's kind of miraculous how this song does redeem the character. The weight of her responsibility and decrees paralyzes her, for fear that her preconceptions and biases will make her act in the same way again. That's why she looks to the speaker, whom she believes has all the answers, but she cannot grant this wish. Think about it. Sarah already regrets her decisions and is on the road to change, so what more must the speaker illuminate if she desires to redeem herself? Recognizing your mistakes is the first step. All that matters after that is what you do now.
You can't know though time flows on, so you must bear the cross bestowed upon you.
With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
You're a loser, baby, a loser, goddamn baby, you're a...
Oh yeah, this is a great one. At the height of one of the show's best episodes, we get an incredibly inspirational number about admitting you got screwed over, taking the L, and moving on. I like it as a companion piece to Poison, Angel Dust's other song from earlier in the same episode. That was one of the first times where being in hell actually meant something, in the way that Angel is shown. Anthony was a man who wanted sex. Now he's getting sex. More than he had ever wanted or asked for, violated day after day, way after way, a damnation of his own damn making. You see, when suffering becomes your routine, you are no longer living. You are, in fact, in hell. Loser Baby picks up on how miserable Angel is to be trapped in that existence for eternity, and with no one he can open up to about it either. That's when Husk marches in to dispense a dose of tough love. He doesn't sugarcoat Angel's situation, or lie by saying everything's going to be okay. He's blunt and honest in order to get honesty back, because sometimes the hardest part of failure is admitting to yourself that you lost in the first place. Like Sarah, who needed to acknowledge where she went wrong so she could grow, Angel needs to confront what's actually making him miserable. And if there's nothing he can do, at least right now, well, then he can find comfort in knowing that he's not the only one. Husk reminds Angel that what he's going through isn't exceptional. It's actually pretty normal, and tons of people have felt the exact same way he does, using himself as an example. Empathy. The load is lighter when you have others to share it with. The backing instruments help with this too, but it isn't as notable to me as the lyrics, and Blake Roman proving why he's the perfect successor to play Angel Dust. The message hits so strong, it really makes you want to give the finger to anybody giving you trouble and say, so what? Despite everything, at least I'm still me.
I'm a loser, honey, a schmoozer, and a dummy, but at least I know I'm not alone.
You're a loser just like me.
I think Stolas could really stand to hear that around now.
With a bit of bravado, maybe tomorrow we'll be atop the heap. Just imagine if we could flip the script.
This is my favorite musical number from Season 2. After this pair of episodes dropped, waiting for the finale to air the next week was the most hyped I've been for an episode of TV in many, many years, and all because of Vox Populi saying the stakes for the story so damn high. Vox becomes the main antagonist of Season 2, and makes Adam look like small time. Stayed Gone made the TV man look like a joke, and established him as being not very threatening, at least when Alistair is around. When Al is out of the picture, like we saw in Don't You Forget, it opens the door for Vox to step in as one of the greatest evils the underworld has ever seen. The absolute beauty of Season 2 is witnessing Vox steadily become a bigger and bigger threat as he gains more and more power and influence. That's what this diegetic musical number is all about. Vox channels the energy of the Music Man, the Flim Flam Brothers, and Lyle to get the sinners of hell in step with his plan to secure himself a throne as the God King of creation. His natural charisma and charm come through in every part of his performance to sell the audience both in universe and in real life on his proposal. The show is lively, it's exciting, it's inclusive, it paints Vox in the most positive light possible. It comes across as very self-serving and manipulative, but damn it, don't you just want to get up and start dancing right behind him?
They say hell's too populated, that's why they exterminate. We got the numbers, we got the thunder, let's annex their real estate. If you wanna see a new world, raise your fists and make some noise.
kind of brilliant and speaks to why so many religious and political movements across history gathered around charismatic con men like Vox. Branding and marketing. As the media overlord, he uses what he knows about television to steal the hearts of the people. Vox spins a narrative that props him up to be the hero and bullies his political enemies into being the bad guys. He makes himself look more relatable and trustworthy to get the people on his side, and then points them toward a common enemy to unite against. He speaks on behalf of Lilith to use her as a martyr for everyone to rally behind, explaining the popularity of someone the people do like to parasitically boost his own status. He copies campaign slogans. He even gets his supporters amped up with fancy metaphors about them all being in the same boat. But Vox is not the daring captain leading his crew to brighter shores. No. He is the shark waiting for the ship to sink. Vox's escalating power becomes such a threat that Vaggie has to send Lucifer over to intimidate him using his own musical flares. It's also endearingly in character, as Lucifer tries to make himself look cool and epic but still manages to be a huge dork at the same time. And then Vox steals the threatening aspects and song progression from Lucifer's part for Vox Dei, the reprise. I could go on and on, but I really can't articulate enough why it's one of the best songs. It redefined Vox's character and reminded me why Hazbin Hotel made for such good television.
Tomorrow we'll be atop the heap.
Respectless. This is another villain song like Vox Populi that instantly wins you over and makes you get behind the bad guy. Vox and his cronies, Valentino and Velvet, make up the V's as the overlords of television, film, and online content. Val doesn't really get any musical numbers with him as the focus. If he did, who knows, maybe he'd be here in the top 3 with his colleagues, though Velvet set the bar really, really high. It took Vox multiple attempts just to scratch at her throne. The setup is that the overlords of hell have gathered when Velvet arrives and immediately starts pushing people's buttons to get information. Carmilla, the weapons overlord, angrily demands that she not be so disrespectful in the presence of all these mob bosses, but Velvet flips the script and drops the sickest diss track in all the 7 rings. If Loser Baby was a screw everyone song, then Respectless is a screw you in particular song. Like, bitch, I'm not going to change just because you said so.
Maybe you missed it, but I'm that hashtag bitch and I will do nothing less than what I please. Woo! I'm the backbone of the V's. Mad that I acted respectless. Well, it's cause no one could respect this.
Of the V's, Vox is the brains, Valentino is the muscle, and Velvet is the spine. And Carmilla Carmine criticizing the content queen's uncouth conduct is catatonically ironic, cause this collective comprises the cruelest criminal minds and crooks this side of the Crimson Cosmopolis. Yet Velvet is evaluated as the varmint amidst the vanguard of villains, and so voices her vilipendation of the vixen's invalid viewpoint.
In English, please?
Verily, Kerr. Who does Carmine think she is to lecture her fellow bad bitch on proper etiquette after what she did? Carmine's complaints aren't actually about Vel's behavior. That is a front to hide the fact that she is the one who slayed the fallen exorcist. It's a cover-up, an ulterior motive. She's a fake morality fan who only preaches it when it's convenient. This is why it's so fun to get behind Velvet, musically squeezing the truth out of Carmilla and destroying her with facts and logic. But that's not nice. I am not nice. No one speaks ancestral that way. Well, guess what, Caprona? Nobody speaks to me that way. Get fucked!
Oops, did I strike a nerve? Cause when I brought out the angel's head, couldn't help but observe that your wrinkled face was turning red.
Respectless earns its way to the top through swagger alone, and Velvet dominates every scene she's in. She is more zest than zestral, more thorns than rosy, and more zingers than ZZ. So after Velvet starts asking too many questions and does too much winning, Carmilla quits the meeting to escape incoming criticism.
Fine. Safe travels back to the nursing home, fuckers. Kiss my ass.
Hazbin Hotel's soundtrack is impressive. There is no shortage of greatness here, and said greatness begs some honorable mentions. Out for Love. I find this one to be especially underrated. After the lyrical roasting she endured in Respectless, Carmilla bounces back with a sharp beat, quick-footed phrasing, and that oh-so-lovely Spanish guitar. She moves and dances like a Hollow Knight boss, too. And it's not interrupted by sass this time, because Vaggie doesn't have a single line in it, which is a little off. Really, V? You don't have anything to add? Okay. Hell's Greatest Dad. Everyone agrees that Jeremy Jordan is one of the absolute best parts of this cast. The man's limitless passion and energy is mighty enough to power a giant death laser. It's also evident in his performance as Lucifer, Charlie's father, and the embodiment of the deadly sin of pride. The musical number is an homage to the Genie song from Aladdin, creative, fun, and full of the magic the fallen angel promises. I don't like it when Alistair shows up, though. Al goes on such a power trip that he thinks he can start a pissing contest with the literal devil, and it kinda makes me cringe. This is even more petty than that one time at Aussie's. He's lucky Lou is actually a big softie, because his ego might have gotten him a little more than bruised if he had challenged one of the other sins. Ready for this? Here we have an endearing marching song about Charlie rousing up the sinners of Cannibal-Town to go fight Adam. It swings across so many moods, from low-key and personal, to playful and fun, to hopeful, to hypeful, to genuinely epic and large scale. As the warm-up for the season finale, I think it works a lot better than when I think about the future, which was mostly a series of reprises that don't connect so well. Brighter. This song tells the story of when Vox was alive, back when he was a man known as Vincent the Atheist, who made a routine of killing his colleagues so he could take their jobs. Vincent even kills God and becomes God. Brighter! It's a good thing he never killed Santa Claus, or he would have been screwed. You know, this isn't even one of my favorite songs to listen to, but man, it is catchy. I'll just be doing whatever, and then I'll randomly mutter to myself, brighter, brighter than the heavens in the skies above. Oh, 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 oh. After that, I might just look around, make sure no one's home, and then... Brighter, brighter than the heavens in the skies above. You'll be brighter, going supernova, all the eyes look up. Brighter!
Led with his tail between his legs. Nature abhors a power vacuum. It leaves room for you and me. The future of hell belongs to the V's.
You didn't know. The 9 people in the audience who enjoy my Whisper series should have seen this coming. In the 6th episode, Charlie and Vaggie are given a chance to appeal to the High Court of Heaven for the redeeming of sinners as an alternative to the extermination. The lie that Heaven spread around to justify the yearly event was that it was to prevent overpopulation, but in actuality, it was to make Hell know its place, to prevent the rise of powerful souls like Lilith and Vox who would dare challenge the kingdom of God. Heaven's place in the story is that of an oppressive government, using its laws to control and target specific groups of people. The episode also brings Adam back after being absent for most of the season, and he serves as the face of Heaven's dark side. Using angel dust as her proof, Charlie tries to show Adam, Lute, the elder seraphim, Emily, the younger seraphim, and the rest of the court that souls don't have to exit hell by being slaughtered, that they can be better. And that's when this song comes in, with a gentle piano, as Emily begins to understand Charlie's dream and question the rules she's known. And the background music builds up from there. As Emily becomes more passionate, gentle strings join the piano. When Charlie stands up and calls Sarah out on her hypocrisy, the drums kick in. She's finally tired of sitting back and doing nothing while this injustice is allowed to continue. Adam and Lute cut in too, with their dark electric guitar riffs decrying everything Charlie is fighting for to be impossible and a waste of time. Though he accidentally lets the existence of the extermination slip out to the court, which was supposed to be top secret. You see, Adam enjoys an afterlife of such extensive luxury and status that he doesn't even try to hide how corrupt he is. He thinks he can get away with anything, and Lute supports him in weaponizing the law to crush whoever he doesn't like. The score for this song is composed to always perfectly match the mood of the progressing verses, whether innocence, defiance, malice, disappointment, guilt, or fiery condemnation. It's a masterpiece in the way that the instruments are telling you just as much as the words are. After learning the truth, Emily's innocence with the piano is remixed into naivete by keeping the drums active and the beat going. And then, hurting her even worse than the knowledge that this was happening meanwhile she didn't know, is that Sarah was in on it. Because how could she not? For someone like Adam to act with impunity, it would be impossible for the one above him to not know about it. This is why Sarah's confession mattered so much. Because she did know this was happening under her roof and had the power and authority to intervene, but was actively doing nothing to stop it. That alone makes her just as guilty as Adam.
I wanted to save you, the anguish it takes to do what was required.
In positions of power, there are the corrupt like Adam and the complacent like Sarah. Emily, to me, embodies the rare honest representative who believed in all of the fairy tales spun by the ruling body and was inspired to do good to uphold those lofty morals. Adam taught us that angels weren't just cotton candy and rainbows, which primes the viewer to distrust any and all of them. In the same scene that shows Sarah to be exactly what we expected, it also proves Emily to be what we were supposed to expect before Adam tarnished our perception. Genuinely good. An angel. No more room for doubt. To our relief, she is on Charlie's side, her trust betrayed by her foolish elder sister to have all these eyes and still be so blind. And so the princesses of both heaven and hell stand side by side, the drums pounding, the horns blaring, and bring this list full freaking circle.
If hell is forever, then heaven must be a lie.
Emily.
If angels can do whatever and remain in the sky, the rules are shades of gray when you don't do as you say, when you make the wretched suffer just to kill them again.
Lululand made me appreciate Helluva Boss on a deeper and more emotional level, but this song spoke to me. The quality of the songwriting and the music was everything I could have wanted to hear. This is it, the dramatic peak of the entire Helluverse canon. I love this. You Didn't Know teaches us what it looks like when someone doesn't practice what they preach, as well as how those same people can so easily sweep things under the rug if nothing is said. In a way, Respectless was also about this, about not letting people just ignore what they've done. But whereas Carmilla let Velvet off with a slap on the wrist, someone as powerful and spiteful as Adam is not going to just let Charlie get away with smearing him. Fair is fair, an eye for an eye. So, in the spirit of nobody getting away with anything, Adam let slip that Vaggie was formerly one of the angel exorcists the entire time Charlie had known her. Adam punishes Charlie for daring to speak out against his authority by threatening her and then kicking her from the server. Because remember, when someone is above the law, then rules are just words on a page. God, don't you just want to see this schmuck get brought down? Alright, now that we've polished off the top 10, which was actually a clever ruse so I could introduce characters and themes, let's finally dig into that story. Now, since I'm an internet reviewer, I need to find something to complain about, or else I'll cease to exist or something. I won't retread my analysis of Hazbin's pilot, but it's in a dubious state of canonicity that's worth going over. The latter half of the pilot, where Alistair arrives at the hotel and brings Husk and Nifty with him, has already happened by the time frame of the first episode, so it still kind of works as a prologue. Alistair giving the Hazbin Hotel its name is also only from the pilot.
It was actually my idea.
Despite this, some elements are treated as though they never happened at all. After Alistair showed up, Vaggie took a moment to explain Al's legacy and infamy to Angel Dust. In the 5th episode of Season 1, this legend was salvaged, and Mimsy retells it to Angel Dust and Sir Pentious. The main plot of the first half of the pilot was Charlie going on 666 News and meeting Katie Killjoy for the first time to announce the opening of her hotel. This plot was reworked and turned into the 4th episode of Season 2, where Charlie meets Katie Killjoy for the first time again, even though they had met earlier. A few key lines were also lifted from the pilot.
Well, we have a patron already who believes in our cause, and he's shown incredible progress.
Oh, and who might that be?
Angel Dust.
We have a patron right now who is making incredible progress.
Who?
Angel Dust.
Alistair, pleasure to be meeting you, sweetheart. Quite a pleasure. Alistair, pleasure to be meeting you, sir. Quite a pleasure.
Kinky.
Early on, the hotel is almost empty because their business isn't marketed very well and struggles to land guests. While I'm on the subject, the hotel has like the worst location ever. It's right on the outskirts of the city near the wasteland and isn't conveniently located near any shops, restaurants, or attractions like a hotel ought to be to attract guests. The chances of a sinner going somewhere and then passing the hotel by chance and deciding to stay is basically zero. This makes about as much sense as the Krusty Krab being in the middle of nowhere. The pacing for Season 1 is weirdly fast and skips ahead a lot. Within this 8-episode time frame, 6 entire months have passed that these characters have spent hanging out and getting to know each other. Also, in that whole time, we're supposed to believe they only ever landed 2 guests. So when Angel calls the others his friends in episode 6, it's actually the result of a lot of interactions that happened off-screen, which makes the payoff a little weaker. But, I mean, what else were they supposed to do? This season only had 8 23-minute episodes to work with. They gotta make that time count, which is why, on the plus side, Hazbin Hotel doesn't have any filler. It's tightly written and well condensed, which has its pros and cons, of course. Helluva Boss builds stronger connections between his cast than Hazbin does, since we do spend a lot more time with these characters, going on missions, having misadventures, and building up their bonds. That's the natural strength of an episodic show that a serialized one can sometimes struggle with.
Unrelated adventures makes the show more character-driven, and we're seeing them develop in different situations instead of a focus being on a story.
The first half of Season 1 is spent mostly on developing the characters, so it's pretty light on the ongoing plot. A lot of the time is spent at the hotel. Like, a lot. The imps did not hang around the office nearly as much as the sinners stick around the hotel. Actually, Hazbin Hotel's locations aren't too varied in general. Besides the few times we get a slice of heaven, the entire show is planted in Pentagram City. Even Helluva Boss explored the 7 different rings within Hell in addition to places on Earth. It gave every episode its own identity. The early episodes of Hazbin Hotel kind of blend together by contrast, since everything is in this city or the hotel. And all of the most memorable parts of these episodes are when we're not at the hotel, like Charlie's first meeting with Adam, Alistair's spat with Vox, or Velvet crashing the Overlord meeting. The most well-defined episode of this season is episode 4, since it isn't bogged down by subplots. That's the one with Angel Dust and Loser Baby, and you know it's gonna be a good one because there's a content warning before it. And no, don't worry, this is the only episode that has that. It's not a nightmare like last time. The plot is that Angel's job at the adult film studio is getting in the way of his progress at the hotel. So Charlie gets the bright idea to visit Angel at his work to discuss getting him some time off with his boss, Val. This episode shows Valentino at his nastiest, and is what cemented him as the most despised villain in the entire canon by fans for a while. Val is scary. He often keeps his moth wings tucked in to form his pimp coat, and when he unfolds them to reveal he's wearing this underneath, you can kind of smell the pure terror that Angel is experiencing. Getting uncomfortably intimate with Angel's situation raises the stakes of the story. The hotel is basically a stand-in for rehab, and this adds in the angle of how does one go clean if somebody won't let them go? In terms of story writing, setups, payoffs, parallels, and character development with a strong beginning, middle, and end, this episode is the most complete one.
Charlie, it's fine. I get it. Thanks for caring about me.
In the 5th episode, oh, by the way, I'm going to continue referring to each Hazbin episode by number instead of name, since it's easier to remember chronologically. Charlie is finally getting fed up after 5 months with no progress, so she calls Lucifer in hopes of arranging a meeting with Heaven.
Hey, bitch!
I remember some fans being a little lukewarm on Lucifer at first, since he's a has-been, a silly Billy, and a short king, i.e. not intimidating like you expect the devil to be. Heck, not even like you'd expect a wealthy king to be. Lucifer, more like Loserfer, am I right? We can cut him some slack, I suppose, now that Mastermind's rolled around and given us Satan to fill the spot of the badass devil figure. Anyway, Lou raises a neat contrast to Charlie. He doesn't like sinners. He thinks sinners are bad people. He was banished to hell before the human race really began, meaning he was only ever allowed to witness the bad side of humanity and never the good side of them. So he doesn't even know a version of human beings that are not evil and disgusting, or even like neutral, but he loves Charlie, so he's willing to give them a chance if it's what she cares about.
Oh, that was sweet.
Episode 6 is the infamous hearing of heaven with Adam and the Seraphim, everyone watching with bated breath to see if angel dust is truly grown. Now, hell is meant to resemble the grimiest, dingiest city you've ever seen, with some buildings looking like they're made of flesh. But heaven was designed to resemble an alien planet with sleek, futuristic buildings and the iconic floating rings, which are actually angelic halos. That's clever. The angels pull from both pop culture depictions of angels as well as the famous biblically accurate angel, particularly the Ophanim and the Seraphim. These beings do kind of look like extraterrestrials. They are otherworldly. Hazbin Hotel. Here's the plot. Every year, hell is invaded by aliens. Also, is it just me, or do the Seraphim look a lot like the Zonai from The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom? During the trial, Charlie figures out that the requirements for what grants a soul passage into heaven are actually a big mystery. It is an interesting interpretation that the mechanics of heaven and hell are governed not by the divine commandments of God, but are rather forces of nature, like gravity. If your soul is light and free, you will float up to heaven, but if it is too heavy and burdened by sin, it will sink down to hell.
Sure got me here, didn't it? Right, Sarah?
He was the first human soul in heaven.
Wait, how can that be so? The story of Cain and Abel was that Cain committed the first murder on his brother, so shouldn't Abel be the first? This episode, with its court scenes, really highlights why Helluva Boss's courtroom episode didn't work. In both episodes, the court is used to demonstrate the corrupt systems governing these realms. The blind judgment of heaven smiting the wicked, and the elites of hell subjugating the working class. But Hazbin actually shows us the consequences of heaven's decisions, and the characters are actively standing up against it. In Helluva Boss, the imps don't actually feel oppressed. They keep telling us they are, but they don't show us. Blitz is his own boss, even though he's just an imp? big deal. Millie, Moxie, and Blitz's fathers all run their own businesses too, and Moxie's family wasn't even poor. The system as presented in Helluva Boss isn't unfair in a way that makes you want to root for the heroes to fight it. It's unfair in an irritating way that comes off as being contrived and kind of lazy. On a lighter note, it's funny that Loot and Adam's relationship is strictly business, yet they hang out with each other outside of work. Dick Master is somewhat fond of having his sycophant around. I hope this doesn't affect her sanity later. Obviously, this is one of my favorite episodes of the season. It was written by Adam? What, there are 2 Adams writing this show? Ah, God help me, which one do I shoot? Which one of you is the first man?
What do you want from me? I'm just one guy.
Oh, so that's how Adam was the first soul in heaven. Hey, what's this time machine doing here? To prepare for Adam's invasion, Charlie and Vaggie split up to recruit the help of the overlords Rosie and Carmilla Carmine for their army of cannibals and vast arsenal of angelic weapons, respectively. In episode 3, Alistair discovered that only angelic metal is able to harm exorcists, which is how Carmine beheaded one. He barters this knowledge to Charlie, and in exchange...
All I need from you is one itty-bitty favor. What's a favor between friends?
Charlie reluctantly agrees. She and Vaggie are on bad terms after Adam exposed her as a hypocrite renegade war criminal, and so they spend the episode giving each other some space. The split plot is used to help them realize that they both still love each other thanks to the wisdom and support of Carmilla and Rosie, and they make up at the end. Although, I feel like Charlie was owed an apology a little bit, you know? Vaggie, come on, it starts with sorry! In the finale, it's almost Extermination Day, and the episode becomes one major action scene after Adam arrives. Because Alistair is canonically the most powerful sinner in hell, their strategy is to bank on him to defeat Adam for everyone. And he thinks he can do it, too. Alistair believes he's the baddest dude who ever died. Just because Alistair grinded XP off-screen for 90 years, he walks up to the final boss thinking he's gonna beat him first try. But then the boss hits him twice and he's sent back to his last bonfire, a classic gamer ego check. With Adam on the loose, Serpentius boards his Zeppelin to stop him, and it goes about as well as you'd expect.
That could have been ugly.
Dude. Tone whiplash much? His second death is played as a joke by Adam, followed by all of the characters taking it super seriously. Also, Alex Brightman plays both characters, so I guess you could say he just killed himself. They try to play up the value of his sacrifice, but ultimately he died for nothing since Adam deleted him before he could launch a single attack. This enrages Charlie and Vaggie, who fly up on the backs of Razzle and Dazzle, the little helper demons who don't speak, and Loot immediately kills the one Vaggie is on. But no one will shed a tear for the little lamb. Vaggie has a brutal fated encounter with Loot, the one who took her left eye, which ends with Loot losing her arm? No, that's not how the verse goes. That's the wrong part. It's looking grim as Charlie is left to battle Adam alone and all hope seems lost. And then Lucifer shows up out of nowhere and defeats Adam rather easily in the most shameless example of a Deus Ex Machina I've ever seen. A deity literally appeared out of the ether and saved the day. It could have worked if Pentius' gambit earlier was what alerted Lucifer to the fight and where it was happening. He's in the dark about the everything since he canonically doesn't watch television.
Scrambles the brain.
But no, Lucifer entered the battle with very convenient timing and Pentius accomplished nothing. Awesome. The big battle in Season 2 is far superior. Anyway, Nifty gets a spy kill on Adam, Loot and the forces of heaven fall back, and everyone pitches in to build a brand new hotel after Adam destroyed the old one. And because the V's were watching all of this go down via cameras from the safety of their lair, the broadcast of what happened here gives the hotel the marketing it needs to really get started. Meanwhile, up in heaven, Sir Pentius becomes Re-Pentius, the first penitent to ever be redeemed. Because it always starts with one. Keep those eyes peeled, we'll be back with the final season after these messages. The other channels all want to feature the same old slop everyone's seen before. You want better. You want the best. You want brighter! No sentence-long titles or clickbait thumbnails. I will be your voice, and together we will redefine what it means to rule the algorithm. Trust me, and your sub box will be brighter! The only way to get anything in this world is to bug people about it constantly. So what are you waiting for already? Come on, and join the crew! Brighter! Where am I? Oh, yeah. Huh? Mercury, where are you, pal? You know, what the heck am I even doing here anyway? Just wasting my time on crap. I can't can't take this anymore! Why do I keep distracting myself and then getting distracted from those distractions? When am I gonna stop putting this off? When am I gonna put a stop to it? When am I gonna put a stop to it? Oh, I'm putting this to an end, right? Right. After I finish my analysis first. How could I forget? Abandoning this retrospective like I forsook that little art project 3 years ago would only spawn more unfinished business. It's only 8 more episodes, and you will see this through to the end with me. How can I quit now with so many eyes on me to succeed? They see themselves in me, you see. I remain unsure whether heaven exists, but I am far less skeptical about hell. Moving swiftly along, Season 2.
Now that's good television!
It's been roughly a month since the big battle, and the Hazbin Hotel is actually successful, receiving an influx of guests checking in with hopes that they can check out into heaven, including Baxter. Charlie is happy about the progress, but is grief-stricken because Susan was killed during the big battle. Also Dazzle, but no one ever brings it up. The main focus of Season 2 is the V, stepping in to become the central antagonist of the new story arc, Vox especially. After Adam Sophie, souls flock to the hotel under the impression that they could get to kill angels too and feed their lust for blood and retribution, which Charlie has to shut down. But this gives Vox the opportunity to take advantage of the paradigm shift and promise those rejected souls that he can give them exactly what they want, so long as they trust him. Adam was a good villain, menacing, funny, and memorable, but frankly, Vox is even better. A weakness of Adam was that he wasn't terribly present in Season 1. He only appeared in 3 episodes, given he's stuck in heaven for most of the arc. Vox works better as a recurring antagonist, being physically present in every episode this season except the second one, where we don't see hell at all anyway. It doesn't feel overdone either, because he has enough personality to carry a whole story arc. Viv went on record to say that Vox was one of the deepest characters she ever wrote, and I agree. He's one of the funniest, too.
I am funny.
Though, Valentino, who as we all know, was one of the more nasty and threatening villains from the first season, is majorly toned down in Season 2. You see, they needed to make Val a little stupider to have Vox look smarter, and now he acts like what internet scholars would classify as a himbo.
Val, don't be dramatic. He's just a man. He's being rude because he's stressed out trying to do his master plan.
Well, maybe people should start sucking less.
Velvet, of course, is perfect as always. Season 2 is also interesting because the finale of the first season was expected to lead into the arc with Lilith, but after Season 2 was greenlit, the overarching story was restructured to have the V step into the spotlight instead, earlier than originally planned. So, in the second episode of this season, they had to add in a scene where Lute rain checks her agreement with Lilith, effectively undoing the teaser from the Season 1 finale, which would then be replaced by a different teaser at the end of the Season 2 finale. This would also be why Lute seemed like she was going to be a major player in this season's story, just going off of the second episode, but then appears in the finale last minute only to immediately leave because there wasn't any space for her in the climax, and they're saving her character for the postponed story arc. I think, despite the alterations, the season mostly holds up well, barring some slight pacing issues. For example, Angel Dust was very prominent in Season 1, and was arguably the main character just as much as Charlie was. In Season 2, his screen time is heavily diminished, so it can be allocated to other characters like Vox and Serpentius instead. Now, he's just another member of the ensemble. Baxter is introduced, but there's almost no room for him in the story, so he mostly hangs back and doesn't do much. He is so underdeveloped that when the finale rolls around and his help is needed to solve the conflict, they have to come up with a convenient excuse to justify him putting his afterlife and career on the line for the hotel. And by the way, Season 2 takes place over a much shorter time frame than 6 months, like the Season 1 characters spent together, so they can't even use a time skip to explain it. At least my man Rooster gets just the right amount of screen time proportional to his importance. The second episode of the season takes place entirely in heaven, and I think was likely the least affected episode by the restructuring of Season 2 as a result, sans that one scene. After Serpentius somehow ascended to heaven instead of being wiped out by Adam, he is put on trial while the high authorities of heaven sort out what to do with him.
We don't need answers, we need action. He killed Adam, that's an act of war.
No, Lute. Adam killed him, though I'm not too sure. Did Pentius ascend the moment before he got vaporized, or was getting killed the trigger? I was waiting for them to address address that in this scene, but they didn't, so that's a shame. Also, more proof that Mr. Lipton was full of it now that Penn is on his third life. Oh, and by the way, it's not murder because all's fair in love and war. That said, Lute may actually be on the hook for murder because the exterminations were kind of a government conspiracy and go against the Geneva Convention. We also learned that Sir Pentious used to be a Victorian-era inventor named Pendleton, and guilt weighed heavily on his soul after he witnessed one of the Jack the Ripper murders. The reason his hell form was covered in eyes was because he would watch people from his window until that night when he saw too much. After the Speaker of God illuminates that Pentious has freed himself from his sin of sloth, the Seraphim decree that he has earned his place in paradise. Now free and able to indulge in whatever pleasure he desires, Penn admits that all he really wants is to see Charlie and the gang again. Oh, no problem. We have this super nifty scrying orb that lets us peer into hell, so you can see that your buds are A-okay.
Oh, well, because of my backstory, I feel not quite right about spying on them. I meant I'd like to see them in person, if that would be alright with you, dear.
They don't say that, but they should have. Kind of an obvious elephant in the room to not address, no? It's in character that Penn is so hardened by his time in hell that he struggles to adapt to safe environments, as he acted the same way when he joins the hotel. Pentious misses his friends so much because he's never had friends before. He was a hermit in his past life. Yes, he was cured by the power of friendship. Now that he's in heaven, the end goal for every guest of the hotel, he can let go of all his troubles and just relax and have fun in excess, but it doesn't bring him any fulfillment because he doesn't have his friends to share it with. Sure, he only knew them for like 6 months out of the century and change that he spent in hell, but as a very fabulous man once said, friendship is not determined by how much time you spent together. Baxter apparently took this moral to heart. The only thing better than seeing a meteor shower is seeing a meteor shower with people you care about, you hear? Finally, my alternate version of seeing stars has been realized! When you achieve redemption, you get what you want, but you lose what you have. Sir Pentious had to abandon all of his material possessions upon ascension and left his friends and minions behind. It will happen to all of us one day. According to the subversive masterpiece, Everhood 2, we all share a collective consciousness that our souls become one with once they escape our flesh after death. The souls dream until the dream becomes real, so everything exists in our minds, and because our consciousness is collective, we all share the same dreamy dimension. Heaven is the dream, and hell is the nightmare. Some dream of becoming animals, while others dream of becoming monsters, both expressing a different kind of freedom from the human experience. The way souls appear in heaven and hell is merely vanity, you see. All is vanity, actually. The investment that the souls place in their outward appearances feeds their egos and reminds us why pride is the deadliest sin. Vox's pride and self-indulgence reaches an all-time peak in the finale, causing his appearance to surge with vanity and sin. Alistair's form also swells whenever his ego inflates. True enlightenment comes from letting go of all the things you thought mattered so your soul is no longer weighed down. Listen here. Come closer. I know you really want to make everyone understand. Feel like you need to, but you don't, you hear? Because it's all in vain. Wait a blessed second, did Charlie just call Lilith in heaven from hell? That impressive cross-dimensional service provider strikes again! Shoot, man, Emily should have just given Charlie her phone number. Then they could be texting each other with updates on the situation and cute pictures of puppies. Hold on! They could have just had Pentious talk to them over the phone the whole time! Good frickin' grief.
I finally got to run my fist straight through his demented skull.
Hey. Speaking of the demented, Lute develops schizophrenia and starts seeing visions of Adam following her around. Apparition Adam argues the assistant's antagonistic assertions are actually accurate above all adversity and also agrees abstaining angels are afraid. Amen. Lute was loyal to no one but Adam, so when she loses him, she breaks. In order to regain some semblance of control, her mind created a figment of Adam to tell her what to do so she could function again. Now Lute is the boss and Adam is the yes man. It's implied that, to mirror how Vaggie is in a relationship with Charlie, Lute secretly had feelings for Adam, but she never confessed before his death and instead showed her affection through her undying devotion and loyalty to him. That's why she was so pissed off in Gravity. In her eyes, the most important person ever just died the eternal death and nobody is actively doing anything about it. Lute will not let him go and craves to make Vaggie or Charlie hurt just as much as she does by turning their duet into a solo. So goes the vicious cycle of vengeance of a person becoming so broken that all they want is to infect others with their misery. But none of that is important right now because they're saving her for a later season. In response to Adam's double death, the high officials of heaven decree that the realm is to enter lockdown, and any beings coming in or out will have to pass through tight security. But human souls can't leave heaven in the first place. Emily said so. What, only the angels and heavenly creatures are being restricted? Welp, there goes Cletus and crew's chances of ever getting back in. Also, St. Peter at the pearly gates already accessed security, but he did kind of make everyone cringe during the hearing, so I understand why they don't think he's enough. The reason this was introduced into the story was to explain why Charlie couldn't go see Emily for half the season, and to imply that the exorcist could no longer fly to hell. But then later, the two seraphim and head exorcists just frickin' ignore it and leave anyway. Oh, I get it. So you don't have to follow your own rules. I gotcha. Fuck. The third episode picks up with Charlie discovering that Penchus made it to heaven, meaning that the hotel works after all. Unfortunately, Vox is smearing her hotel as fraudulent and no demon redeeming to rage bait her, so Charlie bites and the sharks smell blood in the water. To prove redemption is possible and repair their image, Charlie invites the bullies into the safe space. You know what they say, comfort is the enemy of progress, but that doesn't work when you're both uncomfortable and unproductive. The speedrun doesn't go well. Sadly, Charlie already wasted her only time flute on Penchus, so she has to purify the rest of her shadow Pokemon the hard way, but she doesn't have the walkthrough and struggles to replicate this on stream. Charlie wants nothing more than to instill credibility to her religious beliefs, but her efforts are no match for Vincent's atheist ways.
Unfortunately, Princess, it seems Angel is still here and remains an irredeemable piece of shit.
This episode is most notable, though, for the high quantity of funny faces the characters make. It is a riot in the expression department. The show's expression work is generally very good, maybe better than Helluva Boss. Take Alistair. His whole routine is that he's always smiling no matter what, yet is still able to express the full range of emotions. That's impressive stuff. After failing to repair the hotel's reputation, Charlie turns to spreading her message on live TV with Katie Killjoy. KK has two dominant character traits. One, she desperately wants to have heterosexual intercourse with her boss, Vincent Vox Whitman. And two, she passionately dislikes the act of homosexual intercourse and the people who engage in it. Casting Brandon Rogers to play this character must have been an irony-driven choice. If only she knew the truth about her favorite demon whom she is saving herself for. She'll never score. That's her hell. Meanwhile, Alistair. He's salty that he lost a bunch of his upgrades and had his health bar sliced in half after losing to the raid boss, and now he doesn't want to play anymore.
I just quit.
You what?
You see, I've been there about a year or so.
Whoa, what? A year? That's not right. Okay, let's sort this out. Alistair joined the hotel on Extermination Day, and the first episode takes place 1 week after that. Then the season 1 finale was 6 months later on the biannual Extermination. In the first episode of this season, Charlie says that Penchus passed on last month, so now we're 7-ish months in. However, season 2 episode 3 takes place immediately after season 2 episode 1. Then Velvet says that this interview is happening the next day, but Katie says it's been a week, but Alistair seems to think that 5 months have passed. Is everyone having a simultaneous stroke? Either I'm delusional, or someone must have put rat poison in the collective consciousness that day.
So what you're saying is, it's all downhill for Mystery Inc.
No! Hey, you're doing that thing again where you take everything I say out of context. You're trying to make it look like I think Coolsville sucks. No! Don't record that.
All Fred Jones had to say was,
I think Coolsville sucks.
Anyway, it's revealed that Rosie is the one who gave Alistair his powers in exchange for his soul and Minecraft password. Alistair, turns out, is a fraud with no skill and is nothing without his mods. After his files were corrupted by firstman.exe, he went to the developer to complain, but all she did was tell him to get good. He racks his brain coming up with a way to reclaim his title as the consummate gamer. Then he gets an idea. An awful idea. The Grinner gets a wonderful, awful idea. Who needs video games when I have television? Alistair! After throwing the match, Al hands the controller to Vox and resigns himself to be a pitiable backseat gamer, letting Vox take on all the work while he watches the stream and offers unwelcome advice. But in exchange,
you're not to lay your hands on Charlie Morningstar.
It brings Vox great joy to finally be getting back at the guy who's always trolling him in the oldest anarchy server in Minecraft. I'm the blockhead. I'm the one who wins! Okay, serious from now on. Alistair always kept up this appearance of being smart and in control, but now we see that Alistair's true face is that he's kind of a mega loser, right? Alistair adores being powerful, enjoys sparking fear, and revels in tormenting others, but he gets prissy when that's stripped away. When he's not in control of a situation, when the demons around him don't fear his name, when he's not the toughest guy in the room. Alistair represents the edgy teenage power fantasy of being an overpowered demon lord wielding the powers of the darkness itself. But beneath the smile, he's actually rather vain and pathetic, like all the schmucks of the real world who think killing people will make them cool. Alistair, he's not a very nice guy. He takes it further in the flashback, where Vox is must not make reference to Minecraft, where Vox lets down his guard and asks Alistair to be his partner. In business! But Vincent finds himself cruelly rejected by the gaming icon, and he has been coping and seething ever since. Alistair created his own worst enemy, who for the rest of his existence would be stuck living in his shadow.
It was the most embarrassing feeling to be vulnerable for once, and you really just know how to send a message in the shittiest fucking way. The worst part is you still make me feel like a bad person for being angry at you now.
In Season 2, when Alistair is conversing with Vox, his words don't read like a cocky hero taunting the villain, they read like a bully. And you know what they say about bullies, they lash out because they themselves are actually rather insecure. Vox has been following in Alistair's footsteps by relentlessly targeting Charlie to try and get a rise out of her, to feel some sense of power. Charlie feels her reputation is threatened by Vox's distorting of the truth, and so keeps engaging with the toxicity, hoping to make it go away, which only makes everything worse. She is caught in their net. She feeds the trolls by throwing her public image into the water under the bridge like the freshest chum. Charlie quickly develops an unhealthy need to prove Vox wrong and grows increasingly paranoid. It's all she can think about. She can't stop trying to sort it out in her mind. It causes her to push people away. She cries, guys. Blows to your pride cut the deepest because they're inside you. That also makes them the hardest to see. Charlie doesn't even recognize how much all of this online negativity is affecting her until it's escalated to a disastrous scale. Adam straightforwardly threatening the hotel with violence made Charlie feel physically helpless, that there was nothing she could do. But the relentless dogpile of Vox, his associates, and his supporters attacking her character makes her feel truly helpless, and she doesn't know what to do.
You, who crept into our lives with tongues like knives stabbing your words into our skin. You began uploading yourselves into our homes. You had computer screens for eyes and software for bones.
Running parallel to this, Vox is affected much the same way, as he also cares deeply about maintaining his image.
Our brand is perfection. Our brand is perfection, remember? We cannot let ourselves look weak to other overlords or to sinners. We are above petty bullshit.
And he shows that he isn't immune to sticks and stones himself. Lucifer later calls Vox a failure, and this comment gets in his head so bad that he has to sing a whole musical number to cheer himself up. Alistair's words nag at Vox so much that he also grows obsessed. He pushes away his friends. Guys, he cries. Ironic that Vox, the man with mind control as one of his abilities, can be emotionally manipulated so thoroughly. Vox twists and exaggerates everything Charlie says and does to make her out as an unsympathetic monster, just as Alistair manages to spin all of Vox's accomplishments to look like weakness instead.
I was strong enough to beat you, wasn't I?
Only with the help of your little friends.
I captured Lucifer.
Using information you got from a borrowed spy.
I punched a hole in heaven!
With a device invented and developed by Carmilla Carmine. I must say, the way you've been begging for help all around hell, it's pathetic.
Alistair hated being Rosie's pet so much that he vilipends all reliance on others and projects his frustration onto Vox, who is made to feel lesser for having people in his life. Afterlife. Through some desire to set the record straight, Vox makes the same fatal mistake that Charlie does and lets his abuser into his home, into his head.
You turned your hate into stones and hurled them at beauty as if you couldn't bear to see anything other than ugly. Anything different. You had fingernails like flint and scraped them along decency, hoping we would be the ones to all catch fire. You all had smiles like one-way barbed wire, not meant to keep us out, meant to keep us in. Voice like a firing pin, you spoke in explosions.
From this point on, Alistair drives a wedge between Vox and the other Vs by continuing to convince him to throw his allies in the garbage.
And now you finally have me. but you still rely on others for your power, like always.
Thing is, if Vox were the hero, he could have turned this against Alistair very easily. Well, what's wrong with teamwork? Cooperation is how mankind took over the Earth. I'm not like you, Alistair, or should I say, alone. Isn't it pathetic that you have no one who's there for you? Yeah, my friends give me strength, and you're jealous of that.
That's ridiculous! Friendship is for the weak!
But since Vox is the villain, instead of pushing past these words, he lets them consume him and dictate his actions as if that will satisfy Alistair or prove anything. The hero grows past their vices, while the villain is overtaken by them. This is why we admire the hero for their success and heed a cautionary lesson from the villain's downfall.
Because you aren't listening to me. You're hyper-fixating on what he's saying about you.
Because he's hurting the hotel. He is ruining...
Charlie, you are hurting the hotel.
You are not fucking killing us over that stupid deer!
It's over, you dumb fuck!
I thought about what you said the other day. About me hyperfixating on all the lies, about me, about my mom, and you were right.
Fuck that! This is my moment! My fucking destiny! I'm a fucking god!
But hold on, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Charlie hasn't learned her lesson yet not to mess with a guy who literally controls the media. In the next leg of the story, she finds herself visited by the Seraphim and head exorcists who take a page out of Blitz's book and want to apologize to Hell using gift baskets. Look at Lute perching on the spire. Girl thinks she's a Tachi Uchiha. Madness has taken hold of Charlie by this point, and no one believed her when she said a Seraphim told her that Penchus was in heaven. So now, she explains, she can have everyone hear it straight from the angel's mouth. Charlie is so preoccupied with beating Vox in an internet argument that she doesn't greet Abel, whom she hasn't met before. She also ignores Lute, who realistically shouldn't even be in her good graces after she killed Dazzle, but gets to tag along anyway. Their plan is to go to Vox's political rally and do these three things. 1. Confirm that Sir Penchus has made it to heaven. 2. Announce that the exterminations will not continue. And 3. Apologize for said acts of genocide. What could go wrong? Meanwhile, Vaggie goes to an adult about Charlie being bullied online by this Vox fellow, so Charlie's dad also goes to the rally to scare him straight. However, so that having Lucifer on their side doesn't just break the conflict like it did in the season 1 finale, they establish that Lou isn't actually able to harm sinners like Vox or Alistair. Archangels are fair game though. Unfortunately, it turns out that sending a death threat is not enough to defeat your cyberbully. Having become a spokesman for defying heaven, Vox unites many of Hell's legions under his leadership and supplants the monarchy with his oligarchy. Though, side note, I love the background art as much as the next sinner, but like, we're trying to have a serious dramatic moment with the face of television here, meanwhile somebody drew a dick in the background. Blatant profanity in my Christian television show? My very overtly Christian television show?
We're here to apologize!
We are sorry.
Oh, really? You're sorry? For what exactly?
Okay, this next scene is the most frustrating scene in the series. And I'm not going to get mad. Well, I'm not going to get too mad, but here's the fatal flaw. 3, 2, 1. The angels completely forgot to tell everyone that Sir Penchus is alive! Charlie made such a big deal about how they need to do specifically that, and they don't even try! I cannot be the only one who is going nuts about that while watching this scene. It's the exact same problem from Mastermind, where there's a very obnoxiously obvious thing the characters should be saying, but they just don't for some reason. As usual, contrivance is to blame. They can't tell the crowd Penchus is okay because they're not supposed to do that yet, but they don't have a believable excuse not to do it now. So then why set this scene up as if they're finally going to prove it, only to not follow up on that?
Look, the only thing that can stop Vox is the proof that Penchus is alive, and that I'm telling everyone the truth. I need you to tell Hell that Penchus is in heaven and that Vox is full of shit!
Oh, sure. We can do that.
I think what they were trying to go for was Emily getting cold feet because of Vox, so she doubles down on the apology but forgets about the explanation. But come on, really? No one among these 5 had enough guts to interject and shout that redemption is possible? No, you want to know why they really screwed this up? It's because Nifty wasn't there to remind them what to say. There are a bunch of ways they could have proved it too, if seeing is believing. Remember that hologram technology that Adam used to project himself from heaven to hell in episode 1? Because the writers didn't. Charlie could have met Sir Penchus that way, maybe taken some pictures of him to show off. Heck, why not just call him on the phone since heaven and hell have cell service? The heaven embassy is destroyed right before the finale. finale, and if we assume the holograms only work in there, then that's rather convenient for the final episode, but not for this one. Also, last time I checked, both Adam and Abel are human souls, so why are they able to travel to hell but Sir Pentious isn't? Huh? It's not addressed. See? I'm not dehydrated. I pore over every detail to make absolutely sure my assertions are accurate, you hear?
First Lucifer threatens us, now this?
Oh yeah, I forgot to mention, just like the angels, am I right? Charlie blames Lucifer for the plan failing, which I also don't buy, because Vox doesn't even connect his threat to Charlie. And that's weird too, because Vox knows why Lucifer is here. What they were going for was that Lucifer's intimidation primed Vox and his audience to distrust Charlie's angels. But as I just explained, the angels already screwed up so bad that whatever misunderstanding Lucifer caused is entirely trivial. They needed to be his fault to justify Charlie's crash out, but the writing just doesn't back it up. Then in comes Sarah, who commands the attention of the crowd and makes her voice heard, but instead of delivering the message they have still yet to make known, she makes the exact mistake she feared she would back in Sarah's confession.
Sinners like you are the reason I allowed for the extermination in the first place. Power-hungry and violent.
Riddled with plot holes? Check. Characters acting like complete idiots? Check. Or implications? Uncheck. I can at least concede that Vox would have spun the situation no matter what they said, so the semantics don't exactly matter. Like all apology videos, it was doomed to fail. I suppose it's less like one bad episode and more like one bad scene when you look at the big picture, but this is still, personally, the low point of the series. The devil is in the details, you see. Anyway, Vox ascends from the voice of the people to the voice of the gods. Arrgh, don't you just hate it when an internet troll rises to become literally Hitler?
We'll remind them that there are more things between heaven and hell than are dreamt of in their philosophy.
Though it begs the question, how the heck does Vox plan to even get his army to heaven? You can't leave hell, that's kind of the whole point. And heaven seems to be as far away from hell as the moon is from Earth, so what, is he gonna get there on a flying saucer?
I'm coming for you, God and Jesus. Just you wait.
Also, again, hypothetically, if sinners can invade heaven, then why can't Penn go back to hell for a visit,
Semantics, Val.
Vox's war profiteering infuriates Charlie, who stands firm that her mother, Lilith, believed in peace. Meanwhile, Vox is distorting her dream to cultivate violence. In the struggle of ideals, it's optimal for the hero and villain to mirror each other in smart ways. For example, the hero, Batman, is a dark, brooding, no-nonsense arbiter of justice and order. But the villain, on the other hand, the Joker, is a colorful, laughing, senseless agent of crime and chaos. The heroes, the kids next door, are rebels fighting the authority of evil adults. But the villains, the delightful children from down the lane, are elites fighting for all kids to conform under adult rule. The hero, Cool Cat, has a lot of friends. But the villain, Butch the Bully, has no friends. It's these kinds of connections that make a narrative richer. Adam worked as an answer to Charlie because of their opposing viewpoints. She believed that sinners had the potential to be good and save themselves, while Adam believed the notion impossible and showed them no sympathy. In Season 2, Charlie maintains the opinion that with enough hard work and atonement, sinners can reach paradise. Vox, on the other hand, denounces the promise of reward through hard work. If you want it, just take it. That's his motto. He doesn't want to repent and be invited into heaven. He wants to bust through the gates and ransack the place like a pirate. Vincent, in life, would murder his associates just so he could take their jobs, always targeting bigger and bigger fish. He is a man who likes to take shortcuts and is willing to step on others to ascend toward his own glory. Vincent keeps shooting for the moon and trying to play God, but Valentino just wants to finish the treehouse. As Vox sinks deeper into his vices, Charlie climbs out of her assumptions and into a pillow fort. Everything is terrible right now, so Vaggie starts getting freaky in the bedroom to make Charlie feel better. Everyone knows that Baki has the best sex scene in all of television, but this is a close second, showing the two romantic partners as dance partners doing the devil's tango. Helluva Boss is one for the dudes, and Hazbin Hotel is for the ladies. So Charlie learns that in the end, she doesn't have to prove herself. And instead of praying that her mom will return if she succeeds, she chooses to reconnect with the people who are in her life. Lucifer was so distraught after last episode that he broke down and started watching TV! This weakness of character is what allows Vox to get to him first.
Do you think your energy could be used to power a huge machine?
I guess so, man.
Vox has validation issues and hyperfixates on specifically impressing Alistair. That's why he kept him alive. It doesn't matter how successful his videos are, or how many subscribers he gets, or who he collabs with, the one guy whose opinion matters most won't give him an ounce of attention.
And yet you won't acknowledge me. You still just leave me in the dust every single day.
The dust?
The dust.
To compensate for its lackluster praise, Vox reveals the existence of the angelic laser cannon that Carmine developed, using Lucifer as a magic battery. With it, he fires a blast with the power of a nuclear warhead right at Heaven's door and makes short work of the protective barrier, proving it was merely elaborate security theater.
Turn on the TV, they hit the Pentagon! They hit the fucking Pentagon! Turn on TV, it doesn't matter what channel.
The fuck? What the fuck was that?
This worst-case scenario is exactly what Carmilla feared would arise if demons ever found out angels could be slain, which is why she attempted to hide the truth from Vox's associate. Charlie and friends have 24 hours to stop the V's from launching their assault by infiltrating their party the next day. Because if Vox invades the kingdom of God and subjects the denizens to their very own extermination, then heaven and hell will see war beyond any that man's history has ever known. So yeah, this story's core is pretty freaking amazing. It gets better. Sarah decides to put her faith in Emily and is willing to give Charlie and company a chance since Em always held out hope for them. Together they hatch a plan to finally show everyone that Sir Pentious is alive and prove that there's a peaceful way to make it to heaven, making the violence needless.
If hell can broadcast to heaven, I'm sure we can do the same. But backwards!
Certainly. VoxTech has been pirating Heaven's television channels for decades. And some of Earth's, too.
Wait, they just said Hell is already able to receive Heaven's television channels, so why do they have to screw it? Getting the Bluetooth set up will be Baxter and Pentious' jobs, and Cherry and Husk are sent to rescue Angel Dust. Meanwhile, Alistair is still hard at work, sowing tension among the V's.
She's right, you know.
And that's why she's best girl.
So in the finale, the team infiltrates the war warm-up party in a final gambit to hijack the airwaves. Meanwhile, Vaggie tries to unhook Lucifer from the deadly weapon. Angel's two closest friends are pitted against his abusive boss Val and his modded RoboFizz that he calls Kitty. Baxter, with Nifty protecting him, is about to hit the button to make Pentious go live, but is interrupted by Velvet. Also, Vel's attack only hit Baxter, not his laptop, so why was he not able to just immediately complete the prompt the moment he was free? And best of all, Vox comes dressed in his best villain attire of a black suit with long coattails and rises up into the air much the same way as it was foretold in the pilot over 6 years ago. Charlie and Emily are finally allowed to say everything they should have said a couple episodes prior, but it falls on deaf ears as the crowd is already under Vox's mind control, which apparently he can use on everyone except overlords and main characters conveniently. So he cannot just straightforwardly force Charlie to declare him the greatest demon in all the realm and gain the support of stragglers like Cannibal Town. Charlie refuses to give her online harasser a shout out, but that's when Alistair pipes up and says, "I'm gonna do what's called a pro gamer move."
Come on, Charlie. Do me this one simple favor.
Don't make me.
Go on, tell everyone he's the strongest.
Vox's gaming channel finally crosses the 100k mark, making him more powerful than ever before. But also in the process, migrates Alistair's Mojang account. Wait, hold on, let me just check the script real quick. Okay, and soon after, that idiot Vox touches the girl, which activates Alistair's trap card, and his full gamer mode is unlocked.
You absolute idiot.
With Alistair free and Vox more threatening than ever before, the foils get together one more time for a no-holds-barred, hate-stoked, anime-inspired epic battle. If the climax of You Didn't Know was the standout scene of Season 1, then Alistair completely outsmarting and outplaying Vox in the ensuing boss battle is the height of this season. It's Alistair's chance to prove he actually has skills and isn't just a fraud while Vox is at the peak of his power. In the second phase, Vox summons Shockwave, his most loyal minion, a giant, flying, demonic megalodon shark video camera hybrid abomination that probably Baxter created. And not willing to show the grinning gamer even an ounce of mercy, Vox turns the laser cannon on him, which is like trying to kill a fly by shooting it with a gun. And many city sinners are obliterated in the crossfire. Growing desperate, his judgment clouded by rage, Vox lashes out at his fanbase. choice. Carmilla Carmine. Her position is she will do whatever it takes to protect those whom she holds dear. It's why she armed the hotel in Season 1, and also why she built Vox's doomsday device. That is why, though she refuses to help Vaggie at first, after seeing Vox turn the weapon on his and her own people, she has a change of heart and helps V dismantle the machine. But when it loses power, Vox just powers it himself, causing both him and it to become highly unstable.
Look, I can do this! I can do this! Anytime I want! This is nothing to me! You're nothing to me! I hate you! I hate you! This is my big fucking thing!
Oh my god, he's fucking losing it entirely!
However, this entire display where he snipes at his fans and says a few racist things live on stream causes his sub count to hard plummet, as he has lost their valuable trust. Vox is left with nothing but his grudge against Alistair, the one man he could never replace, whose position he could not take just because he wanted it. Vox always strived to glow brighter, 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 but the Shadow Man tormented him for so long that his dreams only grew darker yet darker. His desperation pushes him to extremes, and he sets aim with the Death Ray, despite Carmilla's warning that firing it one more time will cause a nuclear explosion and kill them all. But, driven to his absolute breaking point, Vox just doesn't care anymore and is willing to kill himself. Wait, that's not funny. You know what they say, the man with nothing left to lose is a very dangerous man. Once again, like with Charlie, it is his closest friends who stop him from going too far. Val rips off Vox's head and that's the end of him. But there's still the matter of the armed warhead overloading and going boom. And, to further prove why she's the angel of pure goodness, Emily stumbles over to the machine like a wounded puppy and uses whatever power she has to banish it, prioritizing the good of all over her own safety. She's weak and can't do it on her own. But then Charlie steps in to help, then Husk, then Nifty, then Vaggie, Angel, Cherry, Baxter all lend their voices to the song to inspire Hell to unite for peace and salvation. The gang's determination inspires the other overlords to contribute their power to the Spirit Bomb as well. Carmilla, Zestral, Prick, Hatchet, Maestro, Zizi, even Alistair and Rosie after she finally fixes his gaming PC for him. With their power, the spell is complete, but Vel and Val decide to help anyway, to Vox's displeasure that this means Al is going to survive and everything he worked for has been for nothing. Vox had everything going his way, but he just could not let go of his feud with Alistair and allowed it to destroy him. It exposed him as a hack fraud who was only using Hell for clicks and clout. Whereas Charlie stands strong and is finally able to show everyone how much he genuinely loves her home and unites everyone to fight for it in peace and harmony.
Come on, I was just kidding. Come on, you guys knew that, didn't you? With the helmets and the big monuments. Wasn't that hilarious, everybody? I will destroy all of you.
So the weapon is disposed of, the Hazbin Hotel's reputation is repaired, and Vox is thrown in gay baby jail. The Season 2 finale is a lot stronger than the Season 1 closer in nearly every way. Being a heist plot with each character pairing off to handle separate missions is a lot more interesting than just straightforwardly battling the bad guys. And they did it all without needing Lucifer to show up and save the day because they locked him in the basement. It's better that the villain's downfall came from their own hubris instead of, well, whatever happened there. Pride is the deadliest sin, and so features prominently in the arc villains of both seasons. Adam was the first man to ever live, and so believed that made him inherently more special than literally everyone else. And Vox thought so highly of himself that he believed he deserved to be God. And they both grew incredibly jaded at anyone reminding them that they're only human. Vox's breakdown is both satisfying after how detestable he had been this season, as well as tragic seeing him be pushed to his absolute limit. When you lay it all out, what made the man behind the monster, I kinda get it. And I empathize with that deranged, serial-killing, cult-leading, consent-ignoring, cyberbullying, glorified weatherman, at least a tiny bit. Whenever Charlie tried to amend the drama with Vox, it only harmed her reputation. And so Vox, attempting to settle his score with Alistair, karmically only hurts his reputation with the V's with his followers. Now friends, what did we learn today on how to deal with rage-baiting cyberbullies?
Just ignore him!
Speaking of bullies, it's looking pretty peachy for old anti-hero Alistair now that he has a new gaming keyboard and backdoor access to the server. And worst of all, he now knows the server owner can't ban him, can't kill him, can't do nothing with him thanks to Vox. So nothing is holding him back from plunging Hell into a fear-soaked epoch of darkness so deep that only the voices of the damned will populate it. He'll get his poetic pride ego check when the time is right, I'm sure. Season 1's story was very well written, but Season 2 has more flaws than cracks that slipped through. show, yet manages to be even more compelling and interesting despite that. The stakes are higher, the villains are more deeply connected to the heroes, and the internet drama media circus meta-narrative expands on the first arc's themes about what it means to hold power over others. From physical bullies to cyber bullies, what important schoolyard problem will the show tackle next? I quite rather enjoyed the finale. It was written by... What? The two Adams joined forces to create a masterpiece? And after Adam 1 wrote that terrible Helluva Boss episode... Egad! Is this what redemption is? Yes, I will take this gift basket. Thank you. The sins of the passive past, all is forgiven.
Oh, fuck yes! I win! Suck it, bitches!
Hazbin Hotel The Boss are shining examples of adult-oriented animation. One is more down-to-earth and personal, while the other is more theatrical and grand. The best fantasy worlds are the ones with endless possibility, and hell is a very flexible setting. In the real world, human monsters are technically rare, and to put many of them together for a story would require concerted contrivance and/or coincidence. But the afterlife is the destination of all souls, so the possibility that you would find a murderer, a sex offender, a cult leader, a gangster, and your ex-wife there is basically 100%. Hell being the melting pot of humanity also allows for a great diversity of characters from different places and even different times. The visual presentation is stellar across the board, and both shows have a notable upgrade in animation quality in their second seasons. In that regard, Helluva Boss, I think, gets the slight edge over Hazbin though by virtue of having a looser production time that is not constrained by network deadlines. Because it was independently funded, Helluva Boss was able to take a lot more risks and be a lot more punk, very in the spirit of Brandon Rogers. Every episode of Helluva Boss is very clearly contained with a beginning, middle, and end, which is important when episodes release one at a time. Hazbin is hazier, and what qualifies as the middle, for example, could refer to a group of entire episodes within the season to serve the current story arc. HB can get away with having a few bad episodes because the crew retains the option to try again next time with a new plot. In an arc-based format like Hazbin, one rotten egg could damage the entire season if they're forced to commit to a bad idea. For example, in Season 2, they really play up the value of Finch's sacrifice in the battle with Adam, but his gambit didn't actually accomplish anything, so the characters just have to keep pretending that it was meaningful, which weakens the impact of some major scenes. The issues I took with Helluva Boss hold it back for me, but Hazbin Hotel is a series I can like despite its flaws. I watch an episode with obvious, infuriating contrivances, then listen to the songs from the exact same episode and come away remembering it as a masterpiece. Helluva Boss's strengths lie in its presentation and comedy. Hazbin Hotel's strengths lie in its layered story writing and excellent soundtrack, and both benefit from likable characters, an interesting world, and a gothic edge. If you can tolerate all of the sex talk and lewd imagery and maybe some of the story shortcomings, Hazbin Hotel and Helluva Boss are two of the finest adult cartoons available. But Smiling Friends is better.
In the battle with Adam, you feared your death. Yes. But fear didn't drive you to wickedness. And you were brave. You sacrificed yourself to save another's life. Something had changed in you deep within. How does a guilty soul change?